Added 21 points and 11 rebounds to the win. It's the first Celtics victory in Orlando since October of 2022. They'll try to put the Magic away in Game 5 tomorrow night at TD Garden. Elsewhere in the NBA playoffs, Indiana won in Milwaukee late last night, 129-103. The Bucks also lost Damian Lillard to an apparent Achilles injury in the first quarter. The Knicks used a controversial no call on Josh Hart as time ran out. They beat Detroit 94-93, and it was Minnesota over the Lakers 116-113. In all three series, the winner took a 3-1 lead. In baseball news, the Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from Cleveland over the weekend, care of a 13-3 win over the Guardians yesterday. Ceddanne Rafaela, a 3-run homer and 5 RBIs to lead the offense. Sox will be in Toronto tomorrow night. And in NFL news, the Washington Commanders have entered into an agreement with the District of Columbia to go back and play their home games at the site of the old RFK Stadium. The total cost of the project, somewhere north of $3 billion. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit CatchesLaw.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's Home for Sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hello!
Hey there.
Sarge GPT going up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag!
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you. And I think you know that. Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun, having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go. Hey, good morning. We are Touchering Hardy. We are in the Town Fair Tires studios. You can watch us on YouTube. Search
Fred, hello.
Hi, Guy from Machine. We all missed you. You can call us 617-779-0985. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, 98.5 The Sports Hub. John was gone. I was gone. Now we are back. The draft is in the books. Game 4 of the Celtics series is in the books. And there's a lot from the draft and other things that happened, including a disastrous interview for Bill Belichick that we will get into. Horrible. Couldn't have gone worse. And if you wanted more evidence that his girlfriend has no idea what she's doing, I mean, what a JV move. It couldn't have gone worse. And if you think that she knows more than CBS knows, then you got news. I got news for you. She could not have handled the interview worse. It could not have come off worse. And they got and CBS went, okay, you want to do this? Great. This is going to go viral. You know, you want to go viral, honey? Congratulations. You doddering old man that you look like you're abusing. Now that's what it's gotten to. So we will get to that because I can't get enough. And quite frankly, neither can anyone else. I've had more friends send that to me, friends from other cities, guys I used to work with in Atlanta. Did you see this? Did you see this? They don't even know I talk about it. Did you see this? Everyone's fascinated. Man, women, and child. John is going to get into his European vacation, which if he says he enjoys, I'm going to be very tough on him.
Oh, I got the preview early this morning.
Yeah.
There is 1% enjoyable. The rest of it, misery.
Yeah, because I had predicted that John would not have a good time and no one would have a good time because he went to Paris. He shared a hotel room in Paris for 4 nights with his wife and 2 twin boys who are teenagers. And then, he went to see his sister, which is, you want to see family. So
That half was good.
yeah,
That half was very good.
Yeah. I mean, and I was never going to question that. I mean, you want to see family. What are you going to do? Not see her?
No, but Paris being the focus that it is, sure.
Yeah.
I will say there were some bumps.
And naively, John thought that was going to be fun. And I'm sure not only did his children really not enjoy it, I would imagine that he did not enjoy it either. So that I just went to Atlantis, and there's not much that happened, except that they let the cruise people out, and they can cavort there during the day at the water slides and the lazy river and things, and they're all disgusting people. And also, there's a gratuity of meandering percentages that's already included, no matter where you go, and they, I believe, speak deliberately fast and softly to confuse you, and then get actively annoyed when you ask questions. But I could understand if I worked at Atlantis being just so sick of everyone. Just so sick of it. So sick of the thousands of people. There might be 1,000 people working there at a time. But I bet you there are 1,000 people working there at a time. Between all the restaurants and all the lifeguards and all the snack shacks and all the security and everything, and all the people that work at spas and stuff, and all the maintenance people and landscaping people. And I could see them being very annoyed. But if you don't have kids, my suggestion would not to be to go to Atlanta. If you don't have kids, you're better off served somewhere else. I don't know if we'll get to it because the Celtics played last night, obviously, and won, and then we have a ton of draft stuff. There's so much to get to, but I will talk about this. Jarren Duran, who there's this Netflix special that I will not watch because, the Red Sox are on every day anyway. But and Jarren Duran says that he was suicidal, and that he came to the point where he actively tried to kill himself, but there was like a jam in the gun and it didn't happen, and now he's seeking help, and it's a very good message, obviously, and it's all very good. A guy in Cleveland yesterday started yelling at him, and Duran got into it with the guy, and they kicked the guy out of the game, and they should have kicked the guy out of the game. That's great. But my advice to Jarren Duran, which is very hard to take, because it takes a long time, is just to know that you can't fight. You told the people that you wanted to kill yourself, so you gave them that information. Now you did it with honorable intentions, and who knows the amount of people that you helped with that. I mean, legitimately, you're a Major League Baseball player.
Yep.
You have a good life. People look at you and they say, wow, if this guy could feel this way and he's gotten over it, I'm not alone. These are very powerful messages. But when you tell someone something about yourself and they use it against you, all they're doing is repeating back to you what you've already told them. So it's hard. It's very, very hard. But your life becomes a lot easier when you just realize, well, I told them this. All they're doing is repeating it back to me. And I got news for you. The people that are screaming and yelling about you, I don't know what the guy said, maybe you should have killed yourself or something like this, is that guy is in the reason he's doing it is because he feels like garbage. And he sees you as this successful guy, and he hates himself more. People don't go off and tell you to go kill yourself because things are going great for them. And now it's hard because but if you think about it logically, and it's happened in my own life, like people will, first of all, if you tell something to someone, if you tell things in your life that are embarrassing or struggles that you were going through, and you tell them, the initial reaction is everyone's gonna be like, oh, that's so great, that's so great, that's so great. I got news for you. People are having conversations behind your back. Those things are gonna happen, but it does far more good than harm. But when it's not like someone found out something about you that you hadn't already said. They're just repeating information back to you. So if you're going to get that fired up every time it happens, I understand. It's just that your life, it will get infinitely easier if you just realize, okay, I mean, the guy watched the documentary, heard what I said, and now he's just repeating it back to me.
And he probably hears a lot of stuff that was a new one. And the real challenge is when you hear something that takes you by surprise,
right,
to not react to it.
And there's also, like, if we were on the street, this used to be a big thing for me. Like, if we were on the street, you would never say this to me. Not like because I'm a tough guy, just you wouldn't, because people don't. Like, people don't just come up to you and, like, say
societal norms that you follow.
And Twitter used to. I'm not on Twitter anymore because I don't need to be, and it's a disaster, and for a million reasons that are well beyond me. It's not even because of me anymore. I just think it's a horrible thing for society, and has zero. And I haven't missed it 1 minute. Not during the draft, not during anything. I got all the information I needed. I didn't need to know what some anonymous person in Omaha thought about anything. And the only thing that came out of the draft on social media was the most embarrassing thing that could happen to a coach. So his kid taking his phone numbers and screwing with Shedeur Sanders, Olbricht's kid. So, because there's that thing, and then because so you get all like upset because you're like, you'd never say this to me to my face, like, you piece of garbage. And but it like hurts your feelings because you feel very vulnerable, and like, what, I shared this information with you and now you're using it against me. And then as time goes on, you realize that that the people that are saying that just throwing it back in your face, it's not like the guy's going home to his wonderful family and like a happy life. And even if he has a wonderful family and a good job, he's miserable. Like, happy people don't do that. He's not getting paid to go make fun of you. He's not he's not on stage at a comedy, touring the nation doing comedy, like making, jokes. He's a dickhead at a Cleveland game.
Sitting in a bleacher seat in Cleveland, Ohio is what he's doing.
Just screaming at you at a game. And like, this is his... it's the middle of the day. He's probably wasted, and it's his. I mean, it's not a recipe for a good life. But when you put information out there, would suggest to Jarren Duran, who I know is listening to me and very much wants to know, is to just. I mean, you told them that stuff, and it's a good thing that you did, and that's why it's brave. And that's the thing, is when people say it's brave that he shared that information, it's not like lip service. It's brave because these are the things that are going to happen. When people first come out and they're like, oh, he said he was like, he told his addiction story or he told his suicide story. And then, it's very brave, and it's kind of like, pushed away, and everyone, who writes about it, no one's going to go, what a terrible story to tell. But the reason that it's brave that you did it is because people are going to use it against you. And it's going to take that internal like fortitude or that knowledge of self and knowledge of others and human nature to get through it, because he's going to, now that guy in Cleveland got some attention from doing it, it's going to happen all the time. It's going to happen all the time. And the thing is that you're not an innocent in it. Like, it would make more sense if you had a child that something terrible happened to and it just got out in the media, right? That something terrible had happened to your child, or your child had done something, and someone started yelling at you about it. You're like, wait a second, I haven't even talked about this. Like, you're going crazy. I get it. But when you offer up the information, the reason that is brave is that dicks are going to come and yell it back to you. And you're making yourself vulnerable. It's the definition of making yourself vulnerable. Now, far more people are going to value it than not, but there are going to be people that use it against you.
Yeah, you're not walking around and passing one person at a time. You're performing in front of 20, 30, 40,000 people at a time.
Like, if you go to rehab and you quit drugs or alcohol and you stick with it, your life gets infinitely better. If you share the story, it's a fact that if the more people that share their stories, the more people that might get help, the more people whose lives are improved. So, like, in a karma sense, it's a great thing. But there's no question it's used and not your friends busting your balls. I'm talking about like actively, angrily being used against you. I mean, that's just going to happen. And it's always been fascinating to me when I will say something about myself and then people like repeat it back to me. Like I told you that
as an insult.
Like I told you that.
Yeah, you're
like if you guys bust my balls about something about like all that stuff, I think it's funny. Like I don't mind it. I'm talking about like someone like online or you know calling in the show like, oh you druggie, you dumb loser, like you like da 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 da. And it's like, okay, yeah, but I told you all that. I didn't have to tell you any of that. Like, I told you what happened.
It has no power now.
Right.
So,
you're just repeating back to me information that I've already told you. Well, that's my advice to Jarren Duran. Because I saw it, and I knew everyone was going to rush and go, like, the guy's a dick, and the guy is a dick. But the thing is, it's just going to happen. And it's going to happen for the rest of his life.
Especially if he continues to be successful. I mean, you think,
of course.
You think about it. A lot of people forget this. Duran was the All-Star Game MVP last year, and he had a year of years. I mean, arguably, he was a top 10 player in the league last season. He's very visible, and if the Red Sox do well this year, it play a lot of big games, get to the playoffs. I mean, you're playing in front of 40 and 50,000 people. Just the odds are you're going to run into more knuckleheads. These people are going to be around.
And psychologically,
more people show up. You're a very visible player.
And also the point that's good about that is the more success he has, the more people feel worse about themselves, because they're saying if this guy is, financially and in terms of his, how enjoyable his job is, this much more successful than me, and why should he also get the credit of being someone who was suicidal and has been working on that, because my life is horrible, and why does this guy getting all these accolades for it? That's what the thing is. But there you go. That is my big take on Jarren Duran, and I think it was done right when it should have been done, right at 6.
Yeah, right out of the gate. Let's have some fun.
No, because we didn't even talk about it when it first happened, because what were we going to say? Like, yeah, the guy wanted to kill himself, and thankfully he didn't do it, and, it's brave of him to talk about it. It's all doesn't need to be said. But if he's shocked that people are going to use it against him, would let him know, this is going to happen forever, and if every time this happens, then you're becoming a problem. Like, because if every time that happens now, like, everyone's got to get up and everyone's got to go after the guy, like, and it's got to, and then after the game, everyone's got to talk about it. Like, then it just becomes this thing.
Yeah.
And then it loses kind of like the power of why you did it in the first place. I get it. Again, I was that guy. I mean, it took me years and years and years not to get upset about it anymore. Because there is that thing. Jarren Duran could kick the guy's ass. There's that thing. He's put in a situation where he can't defend himself because he's gotten in trouble before for saying something back to a guy.
Right.
He can't go out and physically attack the guy. The guy's like basically standing in a playground with his parents in front of him, like screaming insults, like where you can't get at him, or the principal's standing there. So, I get the frustration, but that's what's going on. All right, look. It was draft fever. I watched. I was out to dinner in the Bahamas with my daughter. We happened to finish right around the 4th pick, right around when the Patriots made their pick, and I was able to get back to the room in time for the Jets pick, which was so exciting. And it was very exciting.
Yeah.
By the way, walked about 9 to 10 miles a day, according to my watch there.
Yep.
And my daughter never complained, and she complains, but she never complained about the walking. You know why, John? I took her somewhere she wanted to go. That's why. And there was things she wanted to do. We weren't walking 2 miles to a church.
Well, I think you might want to up that figure a little.
Yeah, well,
I think you were talking about walking. We did about 6.
Yeah, there was like chocolate at the end of that tunnel.
There was no chocolate.
It's funny because the last time I was in Atlantis, I remember the same thing. Like, you don't realize how much you're walking, and then you look down at your steps for the day, and it's like 18,000. Like, I'll go walk 18 holes and do other stuff, and like I did it yesterday, and by the end of the day, I was at 15,000.
Yeah.
Like, man, I walked a lot today. Not as much as you did going from water slide to back up to the room to go get ice cream to go down to this place. No. You go there, you're walking all day, all the time. That's what you're doing. You're walking.
Yeah. There's 17,000 steps. I mean, because you're dumb to take those shuttles because they don't do any good. 20,000 steps. Yeah, like it was crazy. Again, 18,000 steps. Nuts. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Artie. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lopresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR.
Celtics in Orlando last night for Game 4. Now, the Celtics took a 2-0 seriously. They ended up losing Game 3. And would they be able to right the ship? Well, Orlando did jump out to the early lead last night, but it did not
Not
last.
8.5 points.
It did not last long. Okay, and now this doesn't work. That's great. Anyone know what?
Big D. Well, now we can't play highlights?
Well, you know what? There is a reason why you would want to hear these highlights.
No, I'm kidding.
Do you know who was on the
Oh, yeah,
in for Max last night?
Yes, it was B-Rob.
That's right. Hey, can you go from in there? Can you give me number 8 from last night?
Correct highlights should be in there, but are you looking for?
It's not
playing.
It's
Oh, it's
not
not playing.
I
Oh,
can
weird.
hear
Okay.
it coming through the speaker
That's
underneath me.
All right, let me
because
give
somebody
this-
Is he in queue?
somebody fiddle left around with this thing.
Just check it real quick, Adam, if he's in queue in there.
Let's see.
Check to see if I'm in queue.
No, you should, no, you
It's
should,
a button that says queue.
should be fine. Here we go.
Bounce entry for Tatum in the corner. Tatum with 12 on the shot clock. Throws the shoulder into Anthony Black. Step back, tough 12-footer is good. And that's just Tatum being really physical. And Anthony Black, who's been good in this series. Celtics have a 4-point lead, their largest.
Oh, no B-Rob there. Okay.
Okay, I will give, before we get to computer, Brian, the B-Rob.
Rob Bott.
Rob Bot 2000. I will give him this, is that he erred on the side of not speaking last night. Because I went out to watch the game with a friend of mine, and I left at the end of the third quarter, so I heard I wasn't far, so I heard the first 3 minutes in the car, and Grandy was calling. Grandy calls the game well when he's not crying, and. And then he goes, Brian Robb is in for Max, who's at his mother's 90th birthday party, which I thought it was good that Grandy said why.
Yeah.
Because when people go, he's not here for personal reasons, and you, assume they're dying or something terrible happened.
Right.
But he's at his mom's 90th birthday. That's nice. So,
I love you. And I think you know that.
Yeah, thanks. And
Thank you.
and then he goes, Brian Robb is here, and then Brian Robb just went beep, boop, 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 and then stopped. So Grandy he wasn't talking very much, which if I was Brian Robb would be my strategy going in, is that if I had something to add, I would be very, very precise with when I wanted to do that.
Yeah. I heard some of it last night. He was fine. He was good.
No.
We have 3 minutes remaining right now if you're syncing up. 96-92. Tatum dribbles behind his back. Attacks Banchero on the left side. Throws the shoulder into him. Tatum, step back, squares, hits.
That made it 98-92. What was the line on this game?
8.5.
8.5.
I got 8.5.
So here's a little something. Just a little something. I have very few wins when it comes to these gambling things, right?
Yep.
I waited for the Celtics, beat down a little bit at the beginning. Tatum misses a couple of shots. Did a live bet. The Celtics minus 5.5, and for Tatum to go over 23.5 points, which he ended up blowing up.
Yeah,
blowing way over.
It's a savvy veteran gambling move by you because
Thank you.
forget how good this team can be. They were down 8 points, and then 2 minutes later they were up 8 points.
And that's when I bet him when they were down 8.
I was with a guy who's a degenerate gambler, and he was sharps, blah, 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 blah. And, but he was getting all worried about, he had these overs with Derek White and stuff, and I'm like, dude, they're gonna come down. They're gonna hit 3 threes in a row, and it's gonna be over. It doesn't take much time.
I like this. I like the defending champions' chances. This team who hits threes at an all-time historic rate to somehow pull off a 13-point swing in 42 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about
And
that.
Orlando can't shoot threes, and there's just no way. There's no way Orlando can win this series. I don't care if two of the big three guys were out. I don't care if some combination of Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis were out. Two of them were out. They'd still win this series probably in 5. It's just that you knew. It had to be 9. It had to be 9. They had to win by 9.
I think
that's terrible.
These last 2 games, I think it's been tougher than it should be, not because they're missing Brown or Tatum or Porzingis. The Drew Holiday being out for these last 2 games has made these games more difficult than they should be.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
and Orlando has figured out a way to kind of get the Celtics' attention. They didn't do it as much last night, but those first 3 games, they really tried to drag the Celtics down by being overly physical. The refs weren't calling it. Last night, they called a bunch of stuff. Last night, they called everything, as opposed to the first 3 games.
Yeah, the NBA officiating is really on point.
Yeah, no,
they should send that crew to another series.
It's an unmitigated. Well, listen, I'm no Piston fan. It's an unmitigated disaster.
You want to just jump ahead to hear that?
Yeah. The Celtics won, and they won by 9.
One more thing, Tatum. How's the wrist feeling?
I know what I'm dealing with. My team knows how serious it is, but it's that time of the year. We all sacrificing our bodies and going through things. It's the playoffs. I doubt anybody feels 100%. But you step on that floor, do what you can, give it your all, and it's just all about trying to figure out how to win.
Yeah, 37 points and 14 rebounds. I'd say he's doing all right.
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's like half grimacing on the bench in timeouts. Okay.
John, does he normally tape his wrists?
Not that I remember.
Okay, so he's very clever. He's taped both wrists.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Well, the fact that he sits on
Which one is it?
Well,
Which one is it?
Now, Tatum is, more to what Fred was just saying, Tatum is going to the well a lot. Like when he sits on the ground after a layup and, sitting right next to the camera, he does this.
Yeah,
He flexes that hand right next to the camera.
It hurts.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it does.
While you were gone last week, did you see the videos of Missoula screaming at him to get up?
No.
After he went down with the initial wrist.
Oh, that was great.
No.
So there's no good audio to play for you. You can only hear it vaguely in the background. But when he initially goes down and probably re-aggravates this, wrist thing that he's had before, he's on the ground. He's on his back, and he's holding his wrist, and players are standing around him. And Horford goes in there to go after somebody who I thought it was
Contavious Caldwell-Pope, who submarined in.
Right. So, and number one, that play, while it wasn't the worst thing we've ever seen, I looked at it and said he reached up, he didn't play the ball, he grabbed his arm, he spun him, and he landed awkwardly, and the TV analyst, Doris Burke among them, was like, well, I don't know why this was being looked at for a flagrant. That's just a foul. You see that every night. I'm like, no, it's not. What are you guys looking at?
I know.
You know me. I'm not like some super green teamer, but holy crap, he didn't play the ball.
No.
He played him like down close to his elbow whipped him around and he landed awkwardly.
That was real quick. That was out of the Draymond playbook where he just gets enough of him to spin him off balance.
And
flagrants, it should be when you undercut the guy, and I mean, they called a double tech last night. That was
stupid.
Again, what Hardy's getting to
is that Missoula's
is it worthy of looking at it for a flagrant?
Sure.
I'm not saying you call the flagrant. I'm saying, is it worthy of a look? Of course it is.
I just think people get annoyed with the going to, because they don't go to video when it costs the game. But they go to video, in the third quarter, halfway through the third quarter, to see if something was a flagrant foul.
Before we get to that, though, the ending point to all of this is the Celtics trainer leaps off the bench and is trying to go to Tatum, and Missoula physically holds him back.
Don't go out there.
And screams at Tatum to get up.
He says, don't go out there, and he says, get up!
Yeah.
So flexing the hand, I bet, is something that you just do instinctually because I'm sure it's sore. What I'm calling into question, because I don't even call that into question. What I'm calling into question is the half-assed I'm hurt on the bench thing, which I did not believe. That, I think, is hamming it up while the trainers come out there.
Can't be bothering him too much. He's been amazingly good the last 2 games.
No, if it was really hurt, I mean, you wouldn't be able to grip the ball. You saw when Holiday was really hurt, he couldn't use his hand. I mean, he couldn't dribble with that hand.
Yeah.
When the kid from Auburn hurt his arm, he had a dead arm. There's varying degrees of pain. It's very difficult to teach an athlete that, though.
But this is, Fred, I think you would have enjoyed this discussion last week. Why did Missoula yell at Tatum to get up? Why is he standing on the sideline, not letting the trainer go out there right away? And why does he scream, get up? And
Playoffs, get up. Like they're trying to send a message physically, and you're playing into it.
Right.
The more you lay down there, get the hell up.
Okay. And I think that's part of it. I also think part of it comes from maybe his jiu-jitsu training, where as you're laying on the ground and you're saying, "Oh, I hurt," you're telling your mind to tell your body that you're really hurt. If you just stand up and act like it doesn't hurt, it will, to some degree, not hurt as much.
Oh, that's the Sam Harris thing. That pain is relative. That if you stay in the present, that 90% of pain is worrying about the future of the pain. That if you dealt just with the immediate pain that you have,
yes,
that pain is in some ways a thought, and that thought is this is never going to go away. Yes, you know that. Yes, Missoula is in the Sam Harris camp. Yes, Yes, I think that you're absolutely right.
Much like Dalton said, pain don't hurt. It's your mind telling you that the pain hurts.
Right, because the theory is that when you get really sick or when something hurts really bad, your mind starts panicking because you think it's never going to go away. But if you just deal in that very present moment and deal with it, that it's a moment by moment thing. It's not torturous.
Yes. All right. So whatever about that call. The call that happened between the Pistons and the Knicks last night as the game came down to its final moments, or non-call, I should say.
Pushed him out of bounds. That was a foul on that shot. The referees didn't call it, but they got the game.
What a sad ending for the Pistons.
Yeah. So it was
94-93. Cade Cunningham, the Pistons got the ball. Cade Cunningham had a look at the basket. He misses the shot. Pistons get the rebound. It goes out to Hardaway Jr.
Thank you.
With 4 seconds left, he shoots a three. I heard Eddie House talking about it last night. He gets his hand hit. He gets his body shoved into, and the guy lands in his landing spot.
Yeah. Josh Hart did all of those things.
All three things that would constitute a foul. So afterwards, of course, the official said they made a mistake. It doesn't do anyone any good. I don't even care about the Knicks. I can't stand them anymore. It happens every playoff season because every single national talking sports head is a Knicks fan. And Stephen A. Smith and everyone else, it's like I could tell you exactly what they were going to say, and they did. I heard it on the way in. Cade Cunningham and a chance at a shot. That's the thing. Well, no, the thing's he was fouled, and he just had to make 2 or 3 foul shots to win the game, and then it's 2-2. And then the Pistons have and I'm not a Piston fan, but then the Pistons have a very real chance of winning that series.
They're just, if you've seen any of this series, they're just as good as the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks are going to get destroyed.
They play the Celtics next.
I know, and when they play the Celtics next, if the Pistons win on Tuesday, who knows? I know 5% of teams that are down 3-1 win the series. But they probably won't. So the Celtics will beat the Celtics might have an easier time with the Knicks than they did with the Magic. But in the guy that was calling the game on the radio, the national guy calling the game on the radio, and again, I'm not a Piston fan, was so actively rooting for the Knicks. You could tell he was like a kid, and he was actively rooting for the Knicks. It was very distasteful. But now now it's not a big deal. But if it happened to the Knicks. Oh my God.
The sky would be falling. They actually might lead it over women's basketball. That might be the top story.
Let's not go crazy.
Well, the Knicks.
But I will tell you this. You can say what you will about the Celtics, but if it happened in a Celtics game, it would not be nearly the hubbub as it would be if it happened to the Knicks. If it happened to the Knicks, all you'd hear about. Shedeur Sanders might stop being talked about for 10 minutes.
Goodness.
Which, by the way, we're having Serrone Battle. Him and Leroy did such a good job of pissing me off on the weekend. that I need to hear Serrone explain himself.
So the Knicks now lead that series 3-1. Celtics, of course, have a 3-1 series lead over Orlando. Milwaukee is falling apart. Dame Lillard, he got hurt.
His career is basically over.
Yeah, the Pacers are up 3-1. What's going on between the Timberwolves and the Lakers? We can find out next, Fred.
Well, what's going on is they're playing an awful lot of basketball. The old guys, they're making them play.
So many minutes.
JJ, let's hear it for JJ.
The new Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau of the West. All right.
Even Thibodeau wouldn't have done this.
You're 40? You're going to play 40.
Yeah.
Maybe 42.
Exactly. All right, we'll be right back.
Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
As we were just talking about, Celtics took a 3-1 lead on Orlando. They beat the Magic in Florida last night, 107-98. Jason Tatum, 37 points and 14 rebounds. Celtics will host Game 5 tomorrow evening. Red Sox beat Cleveland 13-3 yesterday. Ceddanne Rafaela, the big day, 3-run homer, 5 RBIs. Jarren Duran added 4 more hits. Sox are 2 games over 500. They're in Toronto tomorrow night. And in NFL news, the Washington Commanders have entered into an agreement with the District of Columbia. They will now play their home games at the site of the old RFK Stadium outside of D.C. Total cost of the project is reportedly north of $3 billion. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports. Durant describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports.
Over the Timberwolves yesterday, had that game well in hand for large parts of it, and then Minnesota realizing that, hey, these guys weren't all that just a few months ago, and we're actually kind of a better team, and maybe we should just demonstrate that.
Now gets across midcourt with 5, with 4 to LeBron in the corner. Reeves, he'll launch the corner 3. It's in and out, no good. Jaden McDaniels the rebound. The ball game is over. The Wolves have taken game 4. They lead the series 3-1.
By the way, Luka Doncic made a fantastic pass to get it over to LeBron on that final play. LeBron found the shooter in the corner, and it rimmed out. So Lakers end up losing 116-113. They now trail 3-1 in that series. Lucas says it's not over.
It's definitely disappointing, but nothing has lost. We haven't lost nothing yet. It's first win, 4 wins, and we just got to still believe.
Well, you lost 3 games so far.
Yeah.
So actually 3 things have been lost.
I'm glad you could decipher that. He don't speak English in his first language.
Games 1, 3, and 4, I believe, have been lost.
The other languages I speak fluently. Now, what's the deal? LeBron and Doncic played the entire second half?
Not just them. They played. JJ played 5 guys the entire second half: Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and Dorian Finney-Smith. You know what? All 5 of those guys aren't a center. So Minnesota had 18 offensive rebounds yesterday, which I like to think would keep them in the game.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's review the Lakers, and so they play 5 guys.
The entire second half.
The entire second half.
Yep.
So you have Luka played 46 minutes, sorry.
Yeah.
LeBron played 46 minutes.
Right.
So what we know is that LeBron James is 40 years old, and Luka Doncic is not in good shape. I don't like the chances of Los Angeles winning 3 in a row in this series.
Bold.
Isn't that what it boils down to? You just said it. And LeBron still looks really good, but 46 minutes at age 40. Luka, not in peak physical condition. Had been that way for a long time. 46 minutes. They don't have anything left.
And it's unfair to LeBron because LeBron's actually got to play defense, so he's moving a lot. Like Luka, he gets some time to rest. LeBron, they depend on LeBron to play defense.
They depend on LeBron for everything.
Right. And so the game got away from J.J. Redick. It's interesting. I saw something on J.J. Redick, and I don't believe it got this bad, but he was like, I was going to quit at Duke. I was going to quit basketball after my sophomore year at Duke. And, I mean, the kid was really, abused, by fans. And it's interesting because at first I had sympathy for him. And then I was like, and I still have sympathy for him as a sophomore in college, but you could go 2 ways with that. You could go and become kind of funny and lean into it, get a little self-deprecating, but you had your NBA career and kind of use that, or you can go the other way and become just a total dick. And so now I kind of know the origin story of J.J. Redick. I forgot about it. I mean, obviously I remember when J.J. Redick was at Duke, everyone hated him, but there was a long line of white players at Duke that everyone hated, including me.
He might be the second most hated Duke player
Leitner would be
Leitner retired the award, but J.J. was second.
Yeah, but because he was good. That Wojnarowski kid or whatever.
He's top 5, sure.
But he was no good, so that's I mean, he was a good college player. He just wasn't. But white Duke players, people hated them. I hated them too. I mean, they were annoying. And I could see when you're 19, 20 years old that being awful. But there's a lot of ways you could, and it seems like it shaped him into a total dick. Which I don't know if that's an excuse. But I do feel like now that I've revisited that, I know the origin story of why he's such a dick. But I have to tell you that Minnesota is a much more likable team than Los Angeles. Between the Bronny James thing, J.J. Redick, all the good fortune of getting Doncic, all those things I don't care for. And Anthony Edwards has been sensational. So, he's the most fun player to watch in the NBA when he's on. So good for Minnesota. Now, if Golden State could get it together, which I don't think is going to happen.
They're leading the series now.
But yeah, I agree with you. As much star power as the Lakers have, Minnesota's a more fun team to watch.
Are they leading that series? Am I mistaken?
I think they're winning the series.
Oh.
Yeah, the Warriors. Golden State leads 2-1, and they host Game 4 tonight.
Did they win? So they won Game 3?
Yeah.
Oh my! I
Get
take
off
that
the
back.
island, Fred. Yeah,
hey man, I'm on island time.
Someone's still on island time.
I thought they lost that game.
Nope.
They ended up winning that game
By 11.
Really?
104-93.
Oh, I paid attention a little bit to that game. It was on very late, but
Sure.
I did pay.
And
a
you
little
had
bit.
walked so much.
I'd walked so much, and I had my addiction issues.
Yeah.
We mentioned the Red Sox and the incident with Jarren Duran yesterday as the.
I'll go on about it again.
No. The Red Sox in Cleveland yesterday, but really, if you want to talk about a real highlight from that game.
And with one out, runner at first, Campbell takes off. Here's the throw down. The tag there safe. Play at the plate. And another steal of home. And the Red Sox on the board again, 7-0.
There's nothing like that. I still don't know how it happens. Halfway down the third baseline. I don't know why you let a guy halfway down the third baseline.
Well, Duran did it. Well, what helped Duran do a straight steal of home? He did it off a left-handed pitcher who has his back to him. That certainly helps.
Yeah, I know.
And the kid's a rookie, too.
Whatever. I don't Yeah, but there's a third base coach sitting there, and, I mean, there's a manager on the dugout. You're controlling the pace of play at that point. If the guy's halfway down the third baseline, I'm saying something like hey, to my
hey, that guy's awfully close to home plate.
Like, at least to the third baseman, at least act like you're going to go back, like you're in the vicinity of third base. Like, I understand that you're positioning yourself in a way, but
part of the problem was, and the Red Sox used that to their advantage, is they had a left-handed hitter up. So the infield was swung around.
No, I understand. No, it was
line.
Devers. I saw the play. None of what you're saying is changing my mind at all. Yeah, right-handed pitchers have to keep guys on first base. I don't know, constantly. Just because you're a lefty, and the guy's at third base, and there's a left-handed hitter up. I understand all of that.
They have peripheral vision. There's a guy 50 feet away from scoring
and I
a run.
understand they're playing Devers to pull, and I believe me, I get it. I understand all of it. I'm not a total moron. I'm familiar with the game. I am. I assure you. I can't name you everyone in the major leagues, but I know how baseball's played. Around it every single day now, year round. He gets you can't. He halfway before the guys even coming home. Halfway before his legs lift. I mean, he's standing there on the mound, and he's standing halfway in. Now he's not even his peripheral vision. Now he's in his vision. It's amazing. It's so cool when it happens.
I know. It's like Benny the Jet Rodriguez. The Jet stole home. The Jet stole home. Still wearing that stupid hat. Hey,
they wore dungarees when they played.
That's right.
They did. Did you want to hear one home run call, Fred?
High fly ball to center. Martinez back
the Bahamian breeze taking it out.
Around, and that ball's gone.
Irie-man.
Three more for
Three
Sagan.
more spliffs for the Rasta man.
A 3-run homer.
Whee!
5 for the day.
Buy some trinkets.
RBIs, and the Red Sox lead it 12-3.
Trinkets for everyone.
Gonna braid that hair.
Actually, we didn't get any of that. Thank God, because Zoe would have wanted to get her hair braided. And then we would have had to get on the plane with her hair braided. They offered me an upgrade to first class on the way home.
Oh.
And I turned it down.
Why?
So I could sit with my daughter.
Oh, you didn't leave your daughter sitting alone in coach?
No, it would have been coach. They'd already upgraded me to plus. I'm a diamond medallion holder.
No, exactly.
But they call our names
in
the airport. My daughter's kind of a nervous flyer, and she's like, "Oh boy," and I'm like, nothing can. Believe me, nothing happened. Who knows though? Maybe I'm on a list. And we get up there, and the guy goes, "We want to honor you for being a diamond medallion member and move you up to first class." And I'm like, and he goes, "But it could only be one of you." And I I said, I can't take those, sir. And then Zoe said, are you sure? I said, no.
I'm not sure.
What am I going to do in this first
This is a tough call, but no.
If it's okay with you, maybe I will go.
What's funny is if I was still drinking, I would have been so hard to say no. But now that I'm not, there's really no point. There's no difference to me. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. There was a prank call on Shedeur Sanders. Did we find that kid that introduced the last pick of the 6th round? Okay, because I want to play that too. I want to talk a little bit about the NFL
a prank
draft.
like Ashram Kutcher, who does his prank calls.
Look at you, stupid idiot! Look at that. Look at you, fool. Now sign a release. Someone pranked, and thank God the guy's not with the Jets anymore, because it's a total Jet thing that happened, but it happened to the Falcons. We'll be back in just a moment.
15 points and saw Jason Tatum lead the team with 37 points and 14 rebounds.
No, honestly, he hit, I think it was a 3 that he hit towards the end of the game, and I thought in my head, I'm like, this guy's special. Like, this guy's special. He's he just has, I think also just from when I got here to now, he's developed even more of a killer instinct, and he's been getting his big buckets.
Paolo Banchero needed 32 shots just to get to 31 points for the Magic. Celtics had a 12-3 run to break open a tie game late. They host Game 5 tomorrow night. Elsewhere in the NBA playoffs, Indiana won in Milwaukee, 129-103. They lead 3-1, and the Bucks lost Damian Lillard to an apparent Achilles injury in the first quarter. Knicks now lead 3-1. They beat Detroit 94-93, and Minnesota leads the Lakers 3-1 after a 116-113 win. Red Sox beat Cleveland 13-3. Ceddanne Rafaela, a home run and 5 RBIs to lead the offense. Sox are in Toronto tomorrow night. And in NFL news, the Washington Commanders have a deal. They entered into an agreement with the District of Columbia yesterday to go back and play their home games at the site of the old RFK Stadium. The stadium project is reportedly worth over $3 billion. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the 99 Restaurants. Visit the Nines the day after the Red Sox win, like today, and get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Hey, if your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, The Sports Hub.
Watch us on YouTube if you would. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. The obviously the talk of the draft was Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders was going to, rumored to be a top 3 pick until he wasn't rumored to be a top 3 pick, and then would he go at 9 to New Orleans, and then you kind of found out that wasn't going to happen, and then would he go to 21 to the Steelers, and it didn't happen, and obviously Shedeur Sanders, very high profile, with his father, and then his father did such a great job at Colorado. They were a 1-win team, and then he turned them into a winning team 2 years later. Shedeur Sanders, I believe the most accurate passer in college football, but you heard from analysts, like guys that talk to the coaches, not analysts so much as guys that talk to the coaches leading up to the draft, that a lot of them believe that he wouldn't be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, I do want to do this exercise with you guys. I have here Field Yates mock draft from, this is just going to illustrate a point I'm making, Field Yates mock draft from August 21st of last year.
Okay.
So This is right at the beginning of the college football season. He has a quarterback going number 1. Would anyone care to venture a guess? There's a reason I'm doing this.
Shedeur Sanders.
No. Would you care to guess, Hardy?
Not Cam Ward?
No, Carson Beck from Georgia.
Oh.
Okay.
Then he has Shedeur Sanders going number 4, and then he has who does he have going 8? A quarterback. He has a quarterback going 8th.
Is it Dart? Jackson Dart?
It is not Jackson Dart. He has a quarterback going 8th. Who would that be? It's a guy who got drafted. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's not Shedeur Sanders. Quinn Ewers, who went in the 7th round. He has the 8th pick to Las Vegas. So you see, things change. He's got Will Campbell going 10th. He has Travis Hunter going 11th. There's a lot of things happen during the course of a season that, change. He's got that Luther Burden kid from Missouri going 19th who went in the second round. He's got Abdul Carter going 22nd. But, you understand my point. There's a lot of movement during the course of things. So just know that there was a time and place where Carson Beck, who is not in the draft. Carson Beck's the kid that got all the money to go to Miami. And Quinn Ewers turned down $7 million to go play somewhere and got drafted, is going to make, I think, a total of like $3 million, I think, for like the length of his contract, his rookie contract. So things happen. Now, do precipitous falls like Shedeur Sanders happen? No, generally not. But it wasn't like going in, you didn't see that he would fall out of the first round, certainly. And then we even had people tell us that he could fall out of the second round. Now, the belief was this, from what I was told, is that people thought that he would be a backup in the NFL at best. And then if all things are equal, why do I want to deal with him as the backup? Like, you know, because immediately when I bring him in, like the first time that my starting quarterback has a bad game, that there's going to be this rallying cry for Shedeur Sanders, and we don't believe that he can start in the NFL. That's what we heard before the draft. This is in hindsight. This is before the draft. And now we're going to have Serrone Battle on because there are a lot of people that are Serrone and I'll tell you, him and Leroy did such an excellent job on Saturday. They had full phone lines. I almost called in. They were driving me insane. And I'm not kidding. They did a great job. It was infuriating me that there had to be some kind of thing going on with the NFL. And, you know, people don't. I heard one guy, this wasn't Serrone, but I heard one guy say that the college football player has too much power and they don't want that in the NFL. So they smushed Shedeur Sanders down. Okay, here's what happened. None of this makes any sense. Shedeur Sanders was taken by Cleveland, who's a garbage franchise. Cleveland took a kid from Oregon in the third round to play quarterback for them.
Right.
Then they turn around the fifth round to take Shedeur Sanders. Do you think the GM and the coach of that team made the call to draft Shedeur Sanders? No. Of course he didn't. No. Jimmy Haslam, who's a horrible owner, told them to take Shedeur Sanders because he wanted the credit for taking Shedeur Sanders. Now, if there's a conspiracy with the league not to take Shedeur Sanders, then why would the owner be the guy who forced the pick? Because it makes even what's the guy's name? Dylan Gabriel.
Gabriel.
So say Shedeur Sanders is better than Dylan Gabriel. It doesn't change the fact that in the third round, the Cleveland peed away a third round pick. If they believe Shedeur Sanders is better than Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders ends up playing over him, so now they got Flacco. They got the Kenny Pickett, that loser. They got Dylan Gabriel. They got Shedeur Sanders. It's a whole mess in there.
They have 5 quarterbacks.
Right, and then someone else. It's a big mess in there.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yeah. But he can't play this year anyway. But so they got 4 quarterbacks, and there's half the people think Flacco will start, which I don't think. But Flacco, I think, has got to be on the team. They had to assure him he was on the team.
You need one guy who knows what he's doing.
No, and also I got to imagine that all that money is guaranteed. And then I would figure you have to start Kenny Pickett because he's the youngest he's the youngest veteran, and he's the most capable of starting week 1.
One quick story about Dylan Gabriel. He's 5'11", 205. He's not a starting quarterback in this league. And for the Cleveland to take him in the third round, people thought they overdrafted him there.
That's what I'm saying, is that it doesn't make any sense. Well, Shedeur Sanders, now this is part of why people think it's a conspiracy. I didn't know this. Is interesting. When you are good, there's a chance you might get drafted in the NFL. They give you like a burner phone. They give you this. Do you guys not know this?
I didn't know they were handed out to players. I thought players just sometimes got separate phones that they only gave the numbers.
So the league gives you a phone.
Jeez.
And it makes all the sense in the world.
No, it does. Yeah. But I'm thinking you're handing out 257 phones.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, what's it to them?
I know, but
that's a lot of money, Fred.
The whole process of buying.
Where do you even buy that many phones? You go to Walgreens, they've only got like 5 of them.
Well, you got to go to a couple Walgreens.
Okay.
Plus, their league offices are in Manhattan, and everyone knows it's so sad in Manhattan. You can get as many cell phones as you want.
Go to Dwayne Reed.
They got it. They got it all. You go to Zarbaz or whatever. So. This kid, it's such a prank. This kid calls up, he films himself. He goes to Ole Miss, and you know that because he has an Ole Miss sweatshirt on. So he's super cool. He's the kid. He's like Breer at Ohio State. He's actively at the school wearing the school shirt, which is what the cool kids do, because it's like going to a concert with the band that you're seeing shirt on. we get it. You go to Ole Miss. You're that proud about it. You're walking around all day in Ole Miss clothes on the campus of Ole Miss. And so it's a kid, and this is the big prank call.
Hey, is this Shedeur? Hey, this is Mickey Loomis here, the GM of the New Orleans Saints. How you doing? What's up, homie? This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints. How you doing? Good. How are you, man?
You can tell Shedeur Sanders knows something's going on. He's not taking this overly like he thinks something's fishy about it.
Yeah, we have. It's been a long wait, man. We're gonna take you with our next pick right here, man. This thing doesn't do nothing to you. Hey, but you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, man. Sorry about that.
That's it. And then they erupt into laughter. It's what a prank call. What an advantage they did.
It's like Jerky Boys 91, 92. I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders. They really nailed it.
They created a character, not only a character, a nuanced character.
Oh.
They went,
it's like the Egyptian magician.
They're like, we're going to draft you, but it's going to take a while. Every good prank ends with hysterical laughter, teetering laughter, and running around. Now, they filmed themselves and they put it up on social media because they wanted to get clicks on social media. Well, the problem is the kid sitting next to the boy making the call is Jeff Ulbricht's son. Now, who is Jeff Ulbricht? He's defensive coordinator of the Falcons. He was the very successful interim head coach of the New York Jets last year. So Ulbricht's kid somehow got the number off of Ulbricht's phone because the NFL distributes the numbers of the players' burner phones for the draft to these guys, and Ulbricht's kid makes the phone call, and Ulbricht's kid is an adult. I mean, he's at Ole Miss. Now, what's the league going to do? They're saying they're investigating and all this stuff. I feel so bad for Jeff Ulbricht.
What are they investigating?
There's nothing to investigate.
They know what happened. It's obvious.
What are they going to, like, it's going to cost them a pick? And, people are like, well, this has happened before. It happened to Cooper DeJean or whatever the hell his name is, the white corner, the white corner, the unicorn that had a lot of success for Philadelphia. But the thing is that it's not comparable. Shedeur Sanders was the story of the draft. I mean, like, people were hyper focused on him.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot different. I mean, in fairness to Sanders, he handled it incredibly well. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't really care. He's like, people are foolish. It was a mean thing to do, obviously. But I just put myself in Ulbricht's shoes because I have a 16-year-old boy. Ulbricht's kid's older than that. But you're like, Jesus Christ, kid. Like, now that you put yourself on film, you stole the number from me. Then you put yourself on film. And people are like, well, how would he get it? How are you responsible? Is it? It's a list of phone numbers. Get out. What is it? The kid walked by a tablet or a computer or a phone and saw that and sifted through the numbers. What do you want Ulbricht to do about it? You don't assume your kid's going to start pranking guys on camera. I mean, he's a true idiot. But how do you punish a kid in college that has just done that, embarrassed you like this? Now, the kid had to put out a statement. The kid had to call Shedeur Sanders. The team had to make a statement. The NFL had to make a statement. Shedeur Sanders made a statement. Now, Ulbricht's sitting there. He's got, 18 to 22-year-old kid putting himself on camera. Now, do you pull him out of college? Because that doesn't do anyone any good, because then you wasted the tuition. What do you do? How do you punish the kid?
You force the kid to post his apology online.
No, that goes without saying. That's just a matter of PR, and that's just a matter of formality. Like, that has to happen. But what are you going to do? I mean, Jesus Christ, is that embarrassing. But I feel bad for him, because what's he supposed to do about it?
Right.
And Nick just texted me that audio prank is on the same level as my infamous drive-through prank back in BCN, which is absolutely true. I didn't want to ask you guys to have to search for it. But it couldn't be a more true statement.
Oh, yeah. All right. I will search for it, though.
Nick, we had Nick, when he was an intern, go out and commit some pranks. And he went to Taco Bell, and he ordered a bunch of food and then just said, "You're losers," and then sped off giggling.
Okay.
It's a famous clip that we've often run. But there was this defense of Shedeur, like this outrage over this unfair treatment of Shedeur Sanders. Not the prank call. That guy was a dick. But that something, it couldn't be as simple as that teams were passing on him, in that the reason they were passing on him is they didn't think he was a starting level quarterback and they didn't want to deal with all the things that were around him. I don't understand if it's a race thing, why a black quarterback was taken number one and another black quarterback was taken ahead of him. That, like, what is the difference between them and Shedeur Sanders? I mean, Shedeur Sanders grew up privileged and famous. I don't get it. Like, so if it's like a race thing, I don't get why Milroe and Cam Ward were taken ahead of him. I don't like, the Steelers were one of the teams that passed on him. They got a black coach. I don't know what the situation is. So Serrone Battle was very fired up, and I liked it very much. I like Serrone Battle, and I thought they did an excellent show on Saturday, him and Leroy. But they were taking calls, and it wasn't him that said it, but one guy called up, and he's like, I played in the Big 12. I saw all Shedeur's games. I'm glad I'm talking to the brothers now because you'll understand. Yeah. So this caller was insinuating that it was some kind of like racial debacle. And maybe it is. Who am I to say? But I would like to know the reasoning. I gave you the mock draft before the season, and it had Quinn Ewers going 8th, who got taken in the 7th round, and it had Carson Beck going number 1, who's in college still. So, I mean, Shedeur Sanders, if you went by the beginning of the draft, now Sanders was going 4th in this, but, I mean, these things happen. Not to this degree, but why the Shedeur Sanders? Why is there so much, there's got to be some conspiracy. Why does there have to be some conspiracy? And that's why we have Serrone Battle on. He will inform us. His idea of why there had to be some conspiracy around the Shedeur Sanders fall. We will have that in just a moment.
You're listening to Touch.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Toucher or is that Hardy?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
I think Serrone Battle said it best. I mean,
Is this the Gin Blossoms or something of that nature?
No, it's Urge Overkill.
Are they from North Carolina?
Chicago. Nash Cato.
I just saw that.
Eddie King Roser.
I just thought I already got all excited, and then I thought because Serrone Battle's in North Carolina that you were playing North Carolina.
No,
band.
that would have been the move.
We could have played Ben Folds 5.
Why if you were
Or
just
the Connells.
I love the Connells. 74-75 is a beautiful song.
You know the story of the Connells.
No, I
I'll
don't.
have to show you off the air.
Yeah.
There was a listener in Atlanta that was obsessed with the Connells. He sent my friend Axel 2 boxes, 50 pounds apiece of CDs that he had burned of mixtapes, and the Connells were his favorite band.
Wow.
I think I've shown you. Hardy, I'm a little disappointed because I've certainly shown you a video of the band, but you don't remember. Well, what I do remember, segue, is because I wanted to pick his brain. But Serrone, hello! Thank you for joining us finally.
thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate the time. All right, so you were very fired up about this whole Shedeur Sanders thing. Just tell me your point of view.
Well, what got me fired up was the callers got me a little more fired up as they went through it. I understand, we heard all the draft evaluations that he was going to be first round, late, for anywhere from top 5 to bottom half of the first round. So people kind of expected that. I think he expected that, and that's why he wasn't at the draft itself. But to watch him slide all the way to where he did was it was crazy odd. But then to watch the players that were picked before him and the callers calling in and saying, well, it's because he's too flashy. He's too confident. And it's like, we're waiting on the Steelers to pick him. It's like, yeah, but his confidence and arrogance, you don't want a guy like that on your team. And they're probably waiting on Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, wait a minute. So you don't want Shedeur Sanders because he's cocky and arrogant, but you're waiting on a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I found that interesting.
Well, because that's a great point because Aaron Rodgers is a piece of garbage. And and by comparison, no one could be worse. And I'm not being sarcastic. So that's a great point. Go ahead.
No, but then players like the kid from Louisville, Tyler Shue, who's like 30 years old. He's been playing college football for 7 years, a bunch of injuries and all these other things. And the Saints take him as their franchise guy. But you're hearing stories about, well, the confidence stuff in the interviews didn't go well. We don't like his confidence and all this other stuff. And one guy felt like he showed me up in the interview. He shut down another interview and said, I don't think this is going to work out. And, yeah, I get that. I get teams passing up on you and stuff like that. But then you turn around and draft guys with criminal records, and some of these guys were arrested between the end of the season and the draft. And it's like, oh, we're not worried about their character issues. We're not worried about, all the Alabama players that get locked up every year. But this guy showing his watch and having confidence and all this other stuff, this is where we as the NFL draw the line on arrogance and cockiness. But the constant calls for 3 hours. If you listen to the whole show, 3 hours on Saturday, we had a lot of fun, had a ton of callers. Not a single person in 3 hours called about the Patriots draft, which was going on at the time, and all they called about was Shedeur Sanders.
Well,
and
that's why your show was so good.
It was wild.
Yeah, no, and you did the right thing. Believe me, you did the right thing. It was fantastic. Enough that I wanted to have you on the show. Yeah, the notion that he was wearing jewelry is outrageous. I mean, did no one watch the draft? I mean, people tend to buy jewelry when they get the advance from the agent.
Remember Sauce Gardner with the chain that said sauce on it?
Do I remember? It's basically trademarked. Yes. And so, yes, I mean, the idea that jewelry is some other thing. But let me ask you this, Serrone. If Dion tried to organize this in the beginning, like that he was playing like Shedeur was a franchise quarterback, and he was kind of adjusting things so Shedeur wouldn't go to certain teams. Like he wanted to kind of choose where Shedeur would go for it.
Openly told people he was going to do it.
And you gave the example, of Eli Manning and John Elway, and you were saying like if it's because his dad is a famous athlete, Eli Manning's dad's a famous athlete. Eli Manning, orchestrated it so he went to the team that he wanted to go to. But if a team thought, look, I'm not positive this kid could start in the NFL, which a lot of people did say. You have to admit, before the draft, people did say that.
Yep.
And if Deion tried to manipulate things certainly in the beginning, by not having him work out at the combine, by maybe actively tanking interviews, if that's true, who knows? But if that's true, that maybe teams said, all right, well, he didn't want to come here. I'll just take it. I think all things being equal, that this 26-year-old kid from Louisville is every bit as good a chance to be our backup as Shedeur Sanders. I'm just going to err on that side. Is there any possibility of that?
Maybe, but look at the team who took him. So you're going to waste the third-round pick on Dylan Gabriel because you're not sure if Deion's going to, going to manipulate whatever.
Well, what happened there is that they're idiots and they drafted Dylan Gabriel, and then Haslam came down because he's a terrible owner and insisted that they take Shedeur Sanders. Now, if they would have taken Shedeur Sanders in the third round, no one would have a problem with it. And I'm on the same page with you. Taking both is absolutely ridiculous, and it completely. I mean, and the idea that Kuiper gave them an A+ in the draft because he's got some stake in the Sanders operation. But you're absolutely right. They took a 5'2" quarterback out of Oregon, and then they turn around and take Shedeur Sanders. And Shedeur Sanders, I bet you, Serrone, has a better chance of starting for Cleveland than Gabriel ever does.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, I believe that's the case.
Sure.
But what obviously happened is, you got to think, is that the Browns make this pick in the third round. And when Sanders falls to the fifth round, Haslam comes down and says, take Sanders.
Yeah.
And now they got a whole mess on their hands.
Yeah, they had 5 quarterbacks.
Right.
And one of them was accused of sexual assault about 24 times. And then you paid him $230 million. And I don't want you to come out and say, well, we worried about character issues with players when you got that guy as your franchise quarterback. You didn't care about it when you signed him. But my overall point is the teams that needed quarterbacks coming into it. We knew the Browns. We knew the Giants. We knew the Saints. Steelers were in that category as well. When you saw those teams passing up, literally, we'd rather go into the season with no quarterback than take a kid that didn't interview well. Even though he has a master's degree in football, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, all these things, broke all Colorado's records, completed 74% of his passes, 80% when he wasn't under pressure, something ridiculous. He doesn't throw interceptions. And it's like, yeah, but we didn't like his interview. He didn't interview well. And the thing is, we don't know who this anonymous guy is who interviewed him, and people are saying these things. What if these were teams that didn't need quarterbacks? Like if I'm Shedeur Sanders and Kansas City pulls me in the room and says, hey, let's talk to you for a minute. I'm rolling my eyes the whole time. Like, why am I wasting my time with you? You got Pat Mahomes. Like, it could have been one of those teams.
But that's not wise, though. But Serrone, that's a mistake because that's what you can do if you are, Burrow. That's something that you can do if you're, Andrew Luck. That's something you can do if you are a surefire, number one, like Michael Vick. That's something that you can do when you are assured that you're a top 5 pick.
Right.
I don't think that Shedeur Sanders, it goes along to the same point. I don't understand why they thought that they were just based on the information we were getting about what people believed in his talent. There's no question he was successful.
Nothing
Colorado.
about the interviews, just the actual raw talent. Can he play at the highest level? Can you project him as a starter
in the NFL?
NFL, and there were too many questions about that without even getting into how he interviewed.
So, I get it. If the only reason people didn't take him is because he interviewed poorly, that's on them. That's a mistake. It's like not taking Warren Sapp. It's like not taking Tunsil. It's like not. I mean, there's. Look, the Jets have passed on Marino. I mean, the Jets have done it all. They've passed on everyone for stupid reasons and taken idiots. But the way you're explaining it is like I don't think that's right though. I don't think Shedeur Sanders was in a position to be tanking any interviews, basically, based on his physical ability. That's what I think.
But I would say this: going into the start of this season, college football season, and most of the season, all the way up until the season ended, it was literally no question that he was going to go top 10. And the only reason the question started popping up was the interviews. So to me, clearly what he did on the field didn't deter any analysis or anything that said, "Oh, he's fifth-round talent."
Burt all year,
but say he was that far down.
No, not fifth round. But Burt was in here early. Like in Burt, I don't think Burt ever said anything about his interviews.
I didn't say anything about the interviews, but he said if he gets past 3, if he gets past that Giants pick. And he said it's a real question as to whether or not he'll go first round. Now, I didn't hear anybody predict fifth round.
No. He didn't predict fifth round, but he was what I'm talking about is like even in the middle, like when we first started talking about the draft, whenever that was, knowing me early. But like he was saying he's not fast, he's not big,
doesn't have a lot
of arm strength.
Right.
Like, because we were talking about how there's no quarterbacks in this draft, right? Like that was the big talk. So every time we mentioned that, Burt, who, I know for a fact, like talks to GMs and talks to coaches, and he's on the payroll at Ohio State. That that he was saying that there's like deficiencies physically with him. Look, should he have been a fifth round pick? Absolutely not. Is it shocking that he fell to the fifth round? Of course it is. That's anyone who says that is being disingenuous. I just don't. I think Deion played this wrong. And I don't think Shedeur, especially with the prank call and everything, handled himself very well. I think Shedeur could handle a big market better than a lot of people could. I just think that if you're alienating teams and making your draft, the prospective teams that could draft you that much smaller, knowing that you're not a lock, you're not the number one, and knowing that there's a chance that there's a kid that could pass you, and then you heard people, Jalen Milroe, is he the new Jalen Hurts? And you heard Saban talk about him and this and that. Like, people get crazy around the draft. It just seemed like he was mismanaged going into it. That was my opinion of it.
Yeah, my only thing with him, too, I feel he got nitpicked more than any other quarterback in this draft.
Sure, no question.
And we zoomed in and tried to see his footwork. See the way that foot was pointed? We did small things with him. And everybody else, we never even looked at.
Yes.
I mean, we had a guy call in. I said, he's named all these guys that were better than him. I said, is that quarterback left or right-handed? He couldn't answer the question. But yet he knew that this guy was better and that guy was better. If a kid on the college level, so all we can go by, behind the worst offensive line that we've probably ever seen, can complete 74% of his passes and throw 40 touchdowns, he's one of the best players in the country.
Okay, but like Ty Detmer,
Colorado.
Okay, but Ty Detmer was like the best player in the country.
Trophy, yeah.
And like, there's guys that are great college players whose games don't transfer to the NFL.
And there's guys that these same analysis that say he's not good said Anthony Richardson was going to be accurate on the NFL level. And he was a 50% passer in college, and he's a 50% passer now, and he went top 4.
Right. I get
because
it.
he was big.
No,
what I'm saying? It's like,
but they generally draft based on like potential than they do college performance. I mean, you would agree on that.
Yeah, they do. But here's the thing: we switch. Well, the NFL world switches what's hot and what's not from year to year. For example, if a quarterback ran around a lot, we need a guy to stay in the pocket and read defenses and don't turn the ball over. But when the quarterback is a guy that's accurate, stays in the pocket and read defenses and don't turn the ball, well, we need a guy that can get out on the move. It's like they nitpick back and forth. But all I know is he's better than Tyler Shue, and he should have been the quarterback of the Saints. He's better than Jackson Dart, who outside of the first game of the season, he threw no more than one touchdown against SEC opponents each game. He's better. He played with a better roster. He didn't play with the Ole Miss roster. He didn't play in Alabama, Michigan, or some of these other schools. And I think we just nitpicked him to death, but he still performed. He was a closer in big games. He won a ton of big games. We all watched those games. And even in a couple of the games they lost, he completed 85% of his throws in the games they lost. And we're like, yeah, but he might be a little undersized. But you took Dylan Gabriel.
No, I know.
You find a different reason, a different excuse.
No, I get that. Do you think there was a conspiracy with the league?
No, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's a game of telephone. One guy put one thing out, and they all went with it. That's all. I don't think there's nothing bigger than that.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, I don't know about this conspiracy, especially when you have Jimmy Haslam running around.
But I do think there could have been like a collective pushback on the insistence that he was somehow better than Cam Ward, which I heard in one of the pre-draft shows on ESPN. And a couple of the analysts said, no, he's actually the more talented guy. We don't think he's going to go number one overall, but he's the more talented. He's the more talented. And I think some guys get their feathers ruffled, and they're like, no, we feel that to such a strong degree, we're not going to take him first. We're not going to take him second. He's going to be so far down the list just to prove our point that we don't analyze him to be that at all.
Yeah, I mean, here's the question I asked, though. Did anybody think Cam Ward was Cam Ward before he got to Miami with all the NIL money? And if you swap Cam Ward with Shedeur Sanders on those teams, what does Shedeur Sanders look like in Miami? You know what I'm saying? And Cam Ward, we got on Shedeur for not winning. Cam Ward in Miami blew it at the end of the season. They ended up with the same record as he did.
Yeah, and he pulled himself out of the bowl game at halftime. Yeah, he did.
I mean, all those things, but we don't question where his priorities were, and when it comes to that. But I mean, yeah, it's wild. But anyway,
we got to go. But the one thing I will say is that if I was the general manager of a team and I thought I could sit tight, I might wait until next year. Is the only thing, because I gave the mock draft people that Yates had out before the season, and he had yours going 8. He had Carson Beck going 1. Like, yep. I mean, it was a bad quarterback draft. There's no question about that. Well, listen, you did a great job. I think, Serrone, you're very talented. I love when you're on. Maybe one day when someone's out, you can co-host this show. It would be a pleasure. Serrone, you know your stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, you go. The great Serrone Battle. I'll tell you, they did a good job on Saturday. He was the callers, everyone was driving me crazy. But he made good points. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. We have a big contest coming up that we'll tell you about.
Sports Hub headline.
can hear more of Toucher and Hardy
That's what I want on my tombstone.
on the Sports.
I was right. It was miserable. So that's good news.
Parts of it. Parts of it.
No, I never said you seeing your sister in Luxembourg was a bad, because even if that was boring for anyone, screw 'em. It's your sister, and she lives out of the country. You want to stay with her. I made that point clear.
Yeah.
It was your little jaunt.
Great time in
Paris.
Luxembourg. Great time in Luxembourg.
And even if it wasn't, it's still, who cares? That's not
Right.
like what you didn't go to have like a great time. You went to reconnect with your sister.
There were a few bumps when we got to Paris. There were a few.
Yeah, because no one wanted to be there.
Yeah, the travel both ways, which we'll get into tomorrow, were interesting. Didn't fly direct in either direction, which was a gigantic mistake.
Oh, did you have to go through customs?
Oh, I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into.
No, I don't want to get into it.
But yeah,
because I'll get lost.
It's worthy. It's worthy of it.
Because you want to go through customs in New York. That's where you want to go.
We didn't. So that's
okay.
Things were changed. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right.
Voilà qu'ils abordent.
All right. So look, Mother's Day is on the way, and remember when we did the May-December romance in honor of Bill Belichick, which we will get to in a moment. We have a Mother's Day mistake. Are you 10 years younger than your other siblings because you were unplanned? Did you actually accidentally get pregnant on prom night? Tell us how you had a Mother's Day mistake.
This is copy that is written?
Yes.
So this has gone through the proper channels.
Absolutely. It's on the website.
Hit the contest page at 985thesportshub.com. Fill out the entry form, including a photo of you and your parent or adult child.
Oh.
And you could be one of the 5 lucky pairs to join us in studio Tuesday, May 8th. You'll go home with a brand new Blue Moon 24-karat gold-dipped rose, courtesy of Steven Singer Jewelers, and that's just for qualifying. And then there will be a bigger grand prize. Sign up today on the contest page at 985thesportshub.com. Basically, you followed through with an unplanned pregnancy, and now it turned into be, look at how I'm still close with the child. I'm so glad I had the child. Sure. Basically... but we're looking more for like a funny story about whoopsie-daisies. Like,
right.
This is what happened.
Sure.
And it could even be that you were old and you didn't think you could even get pregnant. And then all of a sudden you're pregnant. That happened to a friend of ours. And she was not happy at all through the whole pregnancy. She's still really not overly thrilled with the whole situation.
The more you didn't want to have the kid, the better off I think it'll be.
Right. And then theoretically, since you're both coming in studio, you get along.
Right.
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 You know?
Right.
So there you go.
That's right.
Okay.
So basically, sign up at 985thesportshub.com. And we need, the kid's got to be an adult, obviously. We can't have a minor in here. You're telling them that they were a mistake, even though I'm sure there's plenty of those. But, a lot of people stay here. They're born and raised here, and then they have kids here.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, because we'll look for an array. We'll look for someone. It's not all going to be like they had the kid when they were super young. I mean, it would be equally interesting, if not more, if you were like, 50 and ended up pregnant by some, first of all, it would be frightening for me to know that that's a possibility. But because you figure you're free and clear after a certain age with the lady. But we'll see. We'll see. So investigate that. Go to 985thesportshub.com. And is Steven Singer coming in again?
He's going to call in.
Oh, he's going to call in. Okay. All right. So, but we'll have all the people up here. It was a lot of fun last time. We're not looking to make fun of you. We're looking to have you up and have a good time and give away some jewelry. All right. So when we get back, let's cut to the chase. CBS this morning had on, and so many of you sent it to me, and so many friends from all over the country sent it to me. Bill Belichick was featured. I wonder why they had him on. And it could not have gone worse.
What makes him interesting?
It could not have been handled worse by him and his team. We will be back. It's glorious. We will be back in just a moment.
Hear every playoff game right here. Your home for Boston Celtics basketball. WBC FM and HD1 Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
2 days after scoring 36 points in a loss to Orlando, Jason Tatum scored 37 and led the Celtics to a win.
Brown, he's got a pretty good look at a three. Takes it and makes it.
Yeah, big mistake by Anthony Black there. Did not get out there on the switch on Tatum. Took advantage.
And Tatum was a half second late and reacting almost shocked that he actually had an open three.
That is Sean Grandy and Brian Robb here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Tatum's big night led the Celtics to a 107-98 win over the Magic in Game 4 of their first-round playoff series. The Green also got 21 points from Jaylen Brown. They now lead this best-of-7 3-1. They will host Game 5 tomorrow night. The winner of that series plays the winner of the Knicks in Detroit in round 2. And the Knicks lead 3-1 after escaping yesterday 94-93. Also, Indiana leads Milwaukee 3-1 after a 129-103 win last night. The Bucks also lost Damian Lillard to an apparent Achilles injury in the first quarter. Out west, Minnesota came back to beat the Lakers 116-113. Timberwolves lead 3-1. Red Sox got a homer and 5 RBIs from Ceddanne Rafaela. They beat Cleveland 13-3. They take 2 of 3 from the Guardians over the weekend. They have tonight off. They are 16-14. They're in Toronto tomorrow night. And in NFL news, the Washington Commanders have entered into an agreement with the District of Columbia to go back and play their home games at the site of the old RFK Stadium. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Blue Sky Restoration Contractors. When your home or business is hit with water, fire, mold, or storm damage, Blue Sky will take care of everything from beginning to end. Visit goblusky.com, restoring your property and your life for a brighter tomorrow. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Some people play the game.
Hey, Jaylen Brown. Blocked by Horford.
Some talk about
Let's
it.
welcome to the Sports Hub Celtics show, by the way. Jim Murray, Chris Gasper.
The Sports Hub Celtics show with Murray and Gasper. Saturdays at noon on the Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
24-year-old Jordan Hudson. But it is, you're lying because everyone cares.
I don't know that I've received more notifications like you, Fred, about this particular piece than anything else. So many
Sales
people
guys reaching out to Adam, people from Atlanta.
Tons of listeners emailing me the clip.
Yeah, and so we saw it. So CBS Good Morning or
On
whatever.
the road with Charles Kuralt.
Right. Whatever it is.
CBS this morning.
Which I've been on because they did a thing on Mike Gorman, and I did it, and so I know how this operation works. Isn't that fun? So I can tell
they
you.
have cameras and ask you things and then edit it.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
So the deal is that if you were and Gorman would tell you all this because they did it. Harry, he's really good friends with Harry. This might not even be CBS. It is CBS.
Yeah.
Harry, I don't know. I still have his contact on my phone. The famous guy. He's really good friends with him. He did something about Gorman last year calling the Celtics games. And so what happens is they sit you down if you're the main person for like an hour or more. And then they cut it up into like a 4.5, 5-minute segment.
Yeah.
All right. Now, why would CBS this morning be interested in Bill Belichick in April of 2025?
He's got a new book out, Fred.
Right. That's why Bill Belichick would be interested in being on CBS this morning. Why would a Sunday fluff show, not fluff, it's not, that's unfair, but a Sunday show that is supposed
Sunday
to
morning magazine program.
that's exactly. If you don't know what a magazine program is, it's like, it's real journalism, but it's on maybe lighter topics. It's not 60 Minutes. So they're having him on because of his relationship with this woman and what they've heard about it. And it could not have gone worse. It is a real disaster. And it truly is. It could not have gone worse. It is the epitome of everything that could have gone wrong. And,
Correct.
And that is the case when you have a fool acting like they can operate your entire public life. A young fool. And this is what happens. So Bill Belichick is being interviewed. I don't know where they are, but he's being interviewed. He's in a chair with a Old Navy, because you know how he was in the Navy?
No, hold
bought
on.
it at Old Navy, the store?
Point of order. I don't believe he actually enlisted, Fred.
No, he didn't. He loves the Navy so much he didn't even enlist. He loves the Navy, but he couldn't even be bothered to enlist or go to the Naval Academy or anything, because his father coached football there for a little while.
But he rocks that moth-eaten Navy sweatshirt.
That was a sweatshirt at one point. Boy, he's had that a long time. So he's sitting there. He couldn't look older and worse. And he's got this book out that no one's going to buy about winning. And they do ask him, and this is interesting. This is the non-Jordan part. They ask him about, so we'll blow back by this quick. But they ask him about, why Kraft is not mentioned in his big book of winning. And here's what he has to say.
It's been a momentous year for Belichick. He was named head coach of the University of North Carolina, the result of a messy split from Robert Kraft and the Patriots in early 2024.
He's got a cold, so I'm not going to kiss him.
I have to ask about Robert Kraft because 24 years together, 6 Super Bowls. Unless I'm wrong, he's not in this book. How come?
He's not. Well, again, it's about my life lessons in football, and it's really more about the ones that I experienced directly.
He's not even in the acknowledgement section.
Correct.
Do you feel like you were treated with dignity and respect when you were let go by Robert Kraft?
Yeah, well, it was a mutual decision for us to part ways.
He said fired.
It was a mutual decision.
Well done, Bill. You've obviously been coached well. Way to give awkward silences, looked incredibly uncomfortable, and look like a fool.
And again, it's a magazine. It's a Sunday morning magazine show, so you don't expect necessarily all the hard-hitting questions. But if it's all about your life in football, to not acknowledge the owner that you work for 24 years, that seems intentional.
You're making a statement, and by the way,
What statement are you making?
You're making a statement that you hate the guy, and that because the acknowledgments it's huge. There's a million people, including his creative muse, which I'll get to, Jordan, who he thinks very, very heartily.
It would have been one sentence. Thank you. Even that would have looked weird, but thank you to Robert Kraft for giving me, opening up the door for this to happen. Whatever.
That doesn't have to happen. The acknowledgments can just be Jonathan Kraft.
Yeah, exactly. Robert Kraft, Jonathan Kraft.
Yeah, Jonathan and Robert Kraft. That doesn't have to be a sentence at all. It just has
Say
to
their
say
names.
Robert Kraft. If you're going to have a long list of acknowledgments, you just put.
Fair enough.
You don't have to write a sentence. You just read a book, Jonathan. Jesus Christ. Just put Robert Kraft. I mean, all you have to do is put Robert Kraft in the acknowledgments. And then if you don't want to, great. You feel like he dicked you over. Maybe it would behoove you to answer the question. See, now you're not the guy in front of the media of the Super Bowl team. You understand? Now you're sitting down hawking a book with a ridiculous life. Now you're a clown. Best to maybe change the media strategy a little bit and elaborate on these questions, because you look like a doddering old fool. All right, so now let's get to why they interviewed him. Now, they interviewed him because of his relationship and the weird relationship he has with Jordan. And we all know, because Jordan has put it out there on social media, that they met on an airplane and that she had a philosophy book, and that the two of them got to talking. And Bill was so overwhelmed with her wisdom and her knowledge of philosophy. She went to a local university, not Harvard or MIT or Brown.
I don't even know if they offer philosophy.
Not
at
Brandeis
MIT.
or BC or BU. But she went to one of these universities, not Babson or not Bryant. None of these universities. She went to another one. And so she's this master of philosophy. They can't get enough of each other. He signs her book with his phone number. We've seen it. How have we seen it? Well, we didn't pry through their pictures. We didn't hack his account. We saw it because Jordan put it out there. Her love of philosophy. So they get down to the chase. This is why CBS Mornings is there. Now, this is the CBS. This is as big as it gets. These are not amateurs. This is a guy making a lot of money with production people making a lot of money and editors making a lot of money and a news department that makes a lot of money. These are heavy hitters. This isn't some YouTube show. Okay? So they come walking in, and here is how this was handled by the brain trust of Bill Belichick, which consists of two people, Bill Belichick and Jordan.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
And then they put a picture of it saying creative muse, which is because it's hysterical.
So they had to prove that he actually wrote that down.
And they highlight
the
it and magnify it.
That's right.
Because
he didn't write that. Yeah, he did. Here it is.
And it's right on there, and they highlight it and magnify it. So they're saying, like, look, he thanks her in this book. He doesn't thank Robert Kraft, but he thanks his girlfriend, who's his creative muse.
I thought it was all about football. Why are you thanking your girlfriend?
And
And by the way, creative muse is redundant. You can just say muse.
Yeah, my muse. Well, creative muse, because not a football muse.
Oh, yeah.
But she does stand behind him when he does ceramics. She stands behind him, and it's very sexual. Making an ashtray. Build
my love.
You are my muse.
My darling.
All right, so they know this is weird, so they highlight the thing because it's all weird. So it goes on.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Make sure that that's the...
Jordan was a...
All right, so they will not do this in any other interview. Every guy that gets interviewed, unless you're me, has got like a makeup person, a PR person, like, you know, people have like an entourage. They have people around them, like maybe even an agent that goes in and talks and fiddles with microphones and things like that. They air this because it's weird. Because this is why they're doing the interview. They're not interviewing. Bill's doing it for his book. They could care less about the book. You all realize that, right? They don't care about his Super Bowls or anything else. He's an old man with an average-looking young girlfriend. And this is what his creative muse. And so they're fascinated. They've heard stories. Because Gasper told the story that he talked to people at the NFL Network, or not NFL Network, the NFL, though, that do Inside the NFL. And they were saying that Jordan was like completely taking over things. And they're like, we've been in TV for 30 years. Get the hell out of here. Like, what are you talking about? So they knew all of this going in. So as soon as she gets in there and starts fiddling with stuff, they're like, B-roll, B-roll, B-roll. Because it's a circus. It's a freak show. The whole thing, and you can get the two standing next to each other, and she's touching them, the gross old man and the weird spindly lady putting the stuff on him.
A lot of extra cameras. A lot of extra cameras for Belichick from all angles that they didn't need, just to make sure that they caught her on the side.
I bet you could go through, I don't know, 1,000 Jane Pauley interviews on one of these magazine shows, and they've never shown B-roll of someone putting a microphone on someone. So first, well done thing, Jordan. Really put yourself in front of the camera, even because you needed to fiddle around with the mics, because they got to be thinking, what the hell are you doing? We know how to mic someone up. We work for CBS.
The show's been airing since 1979.
We work for CBS, the CBS News Department, lady. No. I know how to mic someone up. You know how offensive that is?
Corralt, Osgood, Jane Pauley. I mean, it's so audacious. It's really ridiculous.
And it's funny because Adam made the point, it's like a Christopher Guest movie. She is like one of the people in Best of Show talking about their dogs.
Yes. Yeah. So
Bill Belichick is her dog.
Yeah.
And she's the master of the dog. Yeah. And she's going to tell how the dog needs to be primped and preened to get out there for the big dog show. And by the way, it's not like this lapel mic is going through a series of double-breasted suits. I mean, he's got on a stupid false honor Navy shirt on. Stolen Valor Navy shirt on that he loves so much. He loves the Navy so much he couldn't be bothered to join and serve.
As he writes in his book.
Make sure that that's the...
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
Again, something that is not normally said.
Great.
You fool. You fool. How could you not see this? I'll tell you why, because you're an idiot. You're a 24-year-old inexperienced idiot. Well in over your head. That you didn't have you didn't have any kind of savvy to know that this was going to be what this whole thing is about, you moron. She's a real fool. And he's even a more doddering fool.
And that was going to be my point, Fred. Bill's even dumber for letting this happen. I'm only going to agree to this interview if my 24-year-old girlfriend comes in here and gets to pretend like she's running things here.
Like that she's running the show to CBS. It's insane. And if you don't think it's insane, you're on Mars. And it's fascinating and it's insane. And he's old and gross and she's young and dumb. Everything is insane. It's just great. And he's still acting like a dick in interviews. He can't be bothered. The fall of this guy is just so incredibly
we were
fun.
talking about this before we started the segment. Bill Belichick has been better at what he does than 99% of anyone that has done anything in their life. And all of a sudden, he has turned his life over to someone who is a quarter of his age and doesn't know anything about what she's doing.
Yeah, he's just we'll play it. He's a doddering old fool. Like, now I feel kind of bad for him. So the whole Bill's getting his is completely out the window. That whole notion of Bill's winning the day because he's banging a young chick is out the window completely. Now he's almost being taken. Now this is Anna Nicole Smith with the 90-year-old billionaire at the strip club.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
I'm not talking about this.
No?
No.
Okay, so they keep that in. You moron. You feed the wolves. Go to the bear cage and throw a raw steak and wear a raw steak around your neck. Go to the crocodile pit wearing chicken carcasses coming off of you. You stupid idiot. You went and interrupted CBS while you didn't have the foresight to know that they were there to point out how weird all this crap is. And then then you go about and insult them, and she's sitting off camera. By the way, she's the only person. There's not like a team of people. There's just Jordan.
Yeah, that's an important part of this to paint too, Fred, is the interviewer and Bill are sitting almost on a dais. It's in like a kind of a factory-ish looking setting where they're almost on a stage, right? She's down these set of stairs behind a laptop, behind like a railing. Like she couldn't be further away. Again, it looks ridiculous. It looks like something from a Christopher Guest movie, like it's a joke.
And she's put herself in position like she's cosplaying as some kind of publicist.
It's like yelling across the room.
Right.
Like, she's not part of the conversation.
Which is, but you can interview people sometimes in like, very rarely will someone step in and go, we're not talking about this.
Right.
You'll do a pre-interview and they'll go, maybe we don't want to discuss these things, but
you let the person being interviewed who is supposed to be the focal point handle it. You don't interject.
Right. And if you didn't want to have this become something, you couldn't have handled it any worse. By you interjecting there, what do you think? They're not going to keep it? You think that you have editorial control of how they cut the interview, stupid? You just made this weird. You made it, Miss Publicist, Miss Cosplay Hollywood Mover Shaker, you ruined everything. You ruined everything. You just ruined everything for your boyfriend. All of it's out the window because this thing's viral now, and it's viral because you're weird and bossy.
No.
And if your goal was to not have this be about your life, maybe stop making your entire life about him and your entire public existence about him.
She's running for Miss Maine.
Yeah. Well, you got to get that on your own accord.
That's got nothing to do with him.
I mean, you know the hot to trot ladies in Maine. I mean, it's right up there with Miss Wyoming. I mean, it's a real neck and neck. It usually comes down to Idaho and Maine for the hottest lady.
West Virginia.
All right. All right. I'm being told I have so much more to say about this, but we have to break. And we'll get back to it. This is and I've done this. You can't say I haven't. I have. And I'll tell you this. I've seen hundreds of these interviews, and they don't cut to the guy in the background saying stuff. The entourage is usually left out. In fact, B-reel, the B-reel, the stuff that's not like during the active taping, is, I would say, 99.9% of the time not anything of anyone's interest that happens.
It's unusual that they would cut to that side angle and show the person back there.
No, they knew what they were doing.
So
They had
if your intention was to be invisible and have this not be part of and have the topic be the book, I don't know, don't be there, A. And then if that's too much for you to handle because you are so involved, don't say anything during the interview. I mean, she doesn't know what she's doing, and it's great. And Bill's just sitting there going,
survive answering questions.
I had sex with her.
Bill, did Jordan force herself into that interview against your wishes?
It was a mutual decision.
Sure it was.
Mutual decision. All right, so look, there's more. There is more. Never has there been anything greater than this relationship with Bill Belichick, the strong, virile alpha leader of men who has completely cut his balls off and handed them.
Correct.
Oh, but Bill's getting some, man. Bill's getting some. Is he?
No.
Is he now?
No.
And even if you're paying a hooker, at least they leave. They don't sit there when you're getting interviewed like a whore. Like I could go out and bang a whore tonight and then come back. She ain't going to be on the air today. Like, you know? Jesus Christ, Bill. Get it together. I mean,
that's the viral clip that we're going to post later. That statement right there.
Yeah,
Alan.
I don't know what the company's going to want banging a whore out
She
there.
might show up the next
I'm
day.
not saying she's
She
a
might show up
prostitute.
at the interview, but...
He said fired.
Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah.
Your employment was terminated.
And
about
I'm
1
not
a.m.
referring to her as a prostitute. I'm just making the point that if I was going to, even in the...
If
even
it's
if
all
I,
about getting some, there are easier ways to get some.
Thank you. You put it the right way. You could literally just pay for sex, and then it would be over, and then that would be it. I mean, that's an option on the table. There's plenty of women that would have sex better looking than Jordan Hudson for Bill for money. If that's the goal. All right. We'll be back. Giardi will talk to us all about Jordan Hudson, though. He'll talk about the Patriots aspect of the draft in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub. When the snow and cold weather disappear, that's when trouble appears.
We flew down there to get showing how intense I was, how coachable I can be, and just really having all eyes on what they wanted to see. Whatever they wanted to see, I was willing to do, no matter what it was. And that's something that I just wanted them to know, because I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do to help this team win in any way that I can.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. The NFL draft was obviously Thursday into Friday, Friday into Saturday, and now it is over. I don't really care about undrafted free agents. Obviously there's some of them that hit, but who cares? Mike Giardi writes, of course, for the Boston Sports Journal. He covers the Patriots. Mike Giardi, hello, sir.
I was just listening to Ramiro and Pebbles on hold. That was an interesting turn of events. Fred.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
they can't have this filth.
Like a Swiss watch we are.
Listen, you probably heard some kind of dating situation gone awry. I understand.
Actually, funny that you mentioned that. It was the top 10 states where people cheat, and all I heard was number 10, which was New York.
Oh, damn.
So now I've kind of been left hanging. I kind of want to know what 9 through 1 are.
Well, I have a good conversational relationship with the people over there. I can find that information and get it to you immediately after the interview.
Fred, thank you very much.
You saw the Bill Belichick interview on CBS this morning?
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta be loving it.
So I was kind of hoping that Bill Belichick was going to be out of my life for good. I was going to watch some of the North Carolina stuff just to see, hey, can he make this work? I'm intrigued. How can he get his brain and all the details that he gives to pros? Can he give those to 18 to 22-year-olds? And they only have 5 hours a day or something. They're allowed to be around him or whatever it is. And then that thing came out, and holy crap! So, couple thoughts. One, are his Cayones in her Versace purse? Is that that he probably bought her or she bought with his credit card? Because that was bizarre. And then, do we have a Richard Simmons situation on our hand? The fitness, the fitness guru. I think Wallach appeared in a few videos late in Simmons' run there, and that he apparently sort of, he disappeared basically, and then there was a lot of stories about maybe he was being kept against his own will. I don't know. It was very bizarre the way she worked that whole process there, and he was just thinking, okay.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
And as someone who was probably chastised and berated and belittled at his, well, he stood at a podium and you had to ask him questions for your job. It must be a little strange to see him being so incredibly inept. That is, is fun to watch. It is fun to watch.
My other thought was too, what do you think Brian and Steven, his sons, and his daughter, I think her name is Amanda, who coaches lacrosse at Holy Cross, what do they think about, what's going on with their dad?
I can't specifically speak to them, but I can tell you with almost certainty that there are people in his orbit that are not thrilled.
Mike, it has to be kind of like watching a major car accident in front of you. Those kids aren't like in other corners of the country. They are working on his staff. They see this every day. It's got to be a killer for both of them.
Yeah, he was he's an alpha, right? That he bullied everyone, and now he's just being bullied by her. I don't know.
That you just encapsulated why I love it so much. Is he was a big alpha bully, and now he's a ballless waste, just sitting there, just being led around, and it's just fantastic. And I got news for you. I don't know for a fact about his kids. I can't speak to that. I know that when I talk about this on the air, maybe it's not hated by everyone in his orbit. But what I'm saying is not thought to be wrong in generally. That's all I'll say. All right, look. So I'm sure everyone's gone over Will Campbell. Great, all that stuff. All right.
Yeah. Can we skip to Travion Henderson a little bit because I I didn't see a whole lot about this one, and to me that was surprising, Mike. The running back there with the pick at 38.
Yeah, I think that was a clear case of, they had said prior to, and I mean, everybody says this, best player available. We're trying to take the best player available. But I think in that case, they were debating between two players. One of the players got picked right before they came up. So my colleague, Greg Bedard, believes it was the guard that went to the Dolphins, Jonas Stavanea.
Okay.
That was the debate. But Trayvon Henderson was clearly the best guy on the board. And, I know running back, whatever, you don't want to pick him early, and this is a really deep class, but he's an incredibly good fit for Josh McDaniels' offense. For starters, he actually knows how to pass protect. And you say, well, Jared, I don't care if a running back can pass protect. Well, in order to get on the field as a third down back, Shane Vereen had to take a redshirt year. James White had to take a redshirt year to learn that part of the game. This kid already comes in with that, being a strength of his. And then add to the fact that he's super explosive and is capable of taking it, 50 yards anytime he touches it. And it's they don't really have that in their backfield. Gibson had a real nice second half of last year. Ramondre had a forgettable year, but he's not, this super fast guy. This guy's got that in his game. So it's, I mean, there were other places that you might want to look to that you had holes, but he's so good, I think, that it just was one of those ones where we can't pass this up. He fits what we want to do. Plus, he's a former captain, which was clear vibe. They went big on leaders and former captains in the draft, and he's one of those guys as well.
Who would you rather have on this team, considering the dearth of talent at wide receiver? Would you rather have Luther Burden, who was available when the Patriots picked in the second round, or would you rather have Kyle Williams, who they got in the third?
Luther Burden is a turd. So I think that they, after last year, last year's roster was very oddly constructed, and they took some dice rolls for a locker room and a coaching staff, quite frankly, that wasn't ready for it. So you have a guy like Javon Baker, who's a talented dude, but who's just, he's really immature, and he bounced around, and he probably should have been a first or second round pick, and he wasn't because of all the off-field stuff and just who he presented and how he presented himself. And I think they kind of looked at that and said, we're not totally ready for that. Let's build the culture up and get good football players, which is still the most important thing. And then maybe when you get enough good football players, then you start to say, you know what? He's a pain in the butt, but we can take him because he's going to go in that room, and those guys will make sure that he doesn't get out of line.
But what's wrong with
kind of how I viewed it.
What's wrong with Luther Burden? Why is he viewed that way?
He's a turd, John.
I heard that part. I'm asking him why that
75% of his catches were within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. He's not that. He's not that.
Well,
good.
I can tell you, Luther Burden should have been the first receiver taken based on talent.
Yes.
And he was a huge star in high school. He was a huge star a couple of years ago at Missouri, and the book on him is he feels he's so good that he didn't have to run routes, basically.
Yeah, well, he didn't, and he doesn't finish routes.
Mm.
I like that. That was a high quality breakdown. Also, by the way, it got some family girlfriend. Speaking of Jordan with Belichick, there got some family girlfriend influences that are considered to be a little bit much. So just kind of throw that log onto the fire as well. And it's how much do I really want to deal with the rookie receiver that hasn't proven anything in the league and is coming off a bad year at Missouri? Nah, I'm good. Well, maybe next year someone like that would fit our roster, but this time we'll take a pass.
Yeah, and I understand the logic, and you can't kill him, but if there's a chance Burden comes out and he's by far and away the best receiver in this class, but I understand the logic of that. But Kyle Williams is the guy that Alex Barth mentioned on this show as a possible pick. I had never heard of him. He's highly productive. He's the opposite of Burden. He's a highly productive kid. He's in the third round. People are praising this pick. I don't know anything about him. What do you think of that?
I really like him. His hands can be a little bit inconsistent, but speed to spare, which is one of their real things going into the draft was they wanted to find a vertical receiver, create better spacing. But this guy is considered an awesome teammate, So again, put that into this has been a constant theme all off season, but he has ridiculous speed and ridiculous quicks. He's pretty, I mean, he still needs to put some polish on his game, but there's some pretty good polish considering his previous stops. And look, I think he has a chance to be. I mean, I talked to some people who were like, he could be a home run hitter for them. Like, there's no question. So,
Mike,
we'll see. They have a history of not doing well at wide receiver, but he was one that you kind of looked at and said ooh, he could work here.
I like the idea of it, and I like what he did at Washington State based on what I've read and the clips I've seen. But if he's going to be a downfield threat, he's 5'10". Is that going to work in the NFL?
Well, when you see how fast he is, he ran a 4.4, but he plays faster than that. Like, it's just when you watch it, the ball gets in the air, and all of a sudden he finds an extra gear. Like, that's a Jalen Polk problem. Jalen Polk, he gets open, but then when the ball is up in the air, it's like he doesn't pull away from anybody. This guy pulls away from people. So, I think it can work. I think he is more of he's more of a true outside receiver, but they'll be able to move him around a little bit, which is what they did at Washington State. And Josh likes that, likes to have, not a set piece. You can go here, you can be there. I think that's kind of 3 or 4 of their pieces in their wide receiver room sort of have that flexibility now. So it's an interesting way to sort of approach it.
All right. Well, Mike Giardi there, and then there was the rest of the draft. They took a center and a safety and so on and so forth, and we'll see how that goes.
Do kickers on your own time.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Hey, man.
Listen,
kickers and long snappers, dude. They extended our day by about 2 hours on Saturday. I mean, there was some text going around going are you kidding me?
Yeah.
For a long snapper.
Yeah.
Not only that,
it's a nice Saturday, and I got to sit at home.
Not only that, they traded for the last pick in the draft, so you have to sit there and wait.
Right.
There were some angry text chains amongst beat writers. Just like, really, come on.
Well, the
Can't we be done with this?
Yeah. The thing is, though, if you take a long snapper in the 7th round, he's probably making the team. You got to figure. I mean,
Yeah, I would think Joe Cardona might want to think about getting his house ready for sale.
Yeah, it's not good news for him. So there you go. Mike Giardi, as always, Boston Sports Journal. Thank you for the time, sir, and enjoy Belichick as he continues to stumble through the rest of his life.
Thank you, people.
All right.
Wallach.
All right. We appreciate it. All right, look, we have to get back
Shot
to
at
the interview with Bill Belichick. What a disaster.
No.
On CBS this morning. We will
Not
be back
talking about
here.
this.
We are, absolutely.
No.
And we're talking about it because of you and your failures as cosplaying as a PR person. All right, we will be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Celtics won in Orlando last night, 107-98. They now lead the Magic 3-1 in that first-round playoff series. Jason Tatum, 37 points and 14 rebounds. Celtics host Game 5 tomorrow night. And the Red Sox wound up taking 2 of 3 from Cleveland over the weekend. They beat the Guardians yesterday 13-3. Cedon Rafael, a homer and 5 RBIs. Jarren Duran, 4 more hits. Sox will be in Toronto tomorrow night. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy, Brian Scalabrine, and Dave Portnoy. Call 1-800-GET-HAIR for your free consultation. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, at the end of this, going on to talk about this book of winning, they're not concerned, obviously, at all about that. They're having him on because of his weird relationship. And Jordan, so what it is, and I've done these before, and I've actually been on this show before. They didn't do an interview with me like they do with Belichick, but I know how the operation works. They come, they're professionals. They work for the CBS broadcasting, the CBS News. They're, real professionals. They light the thing and everything else. And they interview you for like an hour, and then they cut it to like 3.5, 5 minutes, So they do this for a living. This is what they do. And they've been doing it for a very long time. But Jordan Hudson is there, and we played the part about Kraft anyway, so that's out of the way.
The fact that she's there and in the room, Fred, I got a text while we were doing this earlier from a friend of mine, someone you know. It says, I've been a publicist for 25 years, and I have never been on the studio set with one of my clients during a national interview. I'm either in the green room or I'm in the audience. This is wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because I know people don't believe me. I'm glad someone texted you. But again, this is a guy who's been a bully, talking down to people, this big alpha male, and look at where he is now. He's sitting on a chair across from a gentleman from CBS Morning News, and this is what happens.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Again, she is acknowledged as his creative muse. Robert Kraft, none of the Krafts acknowledged at all in the book. She's his creative muse. He's known her for a year.
Make sure that's the...
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
And that lends to what the publicist texted you. They're showing B-roll footage of this time of her fiddling with Bill, who's in an old Stolen Valor Navy T-shirt because he loves the Navy so much he couldn't join it. So she's fiddling with him. The amount of interviews I'd imagine since 1979 where they've shown a publicist or whoever fiddling with the equipment that CBS has set up is probably, I'm guessing, zero. So this is unprecedented for someone who wanted to stay behind the scenes and didn't want certain things talked about and had to be there. She is the Titanic of publicists. She screwed this up more than anything. Every time she fiddled with him, keep the cameras rolling, guys. We're editing this in. She's a fool. She's a fool.
She doesn't know what she's doing.
She has no idea what she's doing. And Belichick should at least have the common sense to go, this isn't going well. If this is not what we want, and if we want to focus on the book, get the hell out of here. If we just want to talk about the book that has nothing to do with you, and it's just about winning at games, then let's talk about that. Get out of here. But she's got to sit there. I think she was in front of a monitor too, not a computer, but a monitor. I think she was like watching, like a monitor of like.
She was Jim Graying the whole thing. She had her hands on the headphones and staring at the monitor.
Yeah, it's weird. It's super weird. It really is weird, guys. I mean, I'm not making this up. For comedic content, it's strange.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
All right, so there she...
Right after he said he didn't care what people thought, she shut it down.
And she pipes up like they're not going to show that. Like, she pipes up like, well done. You don't want them to talk about something, so you announce it during the interview while he's on mic and he's on camera, stupid? Why don't you just hold a sign saying, don't talk about me, please? And just put it in front of the camera with your face on it.
Do you think it's a mistake the guy said Jordan right over there? I mean, this is
They
unusual.
loved it.
Oh,
they knew what they were doing. This interviewer knew exactly how this was going to look because you know why? They do it for a living. They knew exactly how it was going to work. When she started fiddling with them, they're like, that's B-roll. When she piped up, they couldn't imagine their good fortune. No one would be talking about this interview, by the way, if she wasn't there. And by the way, this is not selling one book. Not one. It just makes him look like an inept loser who's giving his balls away to a person who has no idea what they're doing. That's
Correct.
what it looks like. It's strange. And it's not just strange to people in New England that know him as a bully and an a-hole. It's strange to people in Nebraska that never have heard of him. Housewives.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
Well, then why are you putting your relationship all over Instagram? Your whole point. Then why are you his publicist? Why are you the head of Bill Belichick Productions? Screw how weird your relationship is. You don't want to talk about this? Your whole job is inserting yourself as the head of publicizing your relationship. That's what your job is. You've given yourself titles. You've started LLCs. I'm not exaggerating. Everything you've done. What idiot sits in a room after everything they've done to trump up a relationship? She's been on the field during practice wearing wrestling robes, in sequined wrestling robes and fiddling with him. And now you're playing like you don't want this talked about? Get out of here. And even if you didn't want it talked about, then don't be in the room. You're a fool. You're such an idiot. You're so bad at this. You're cosplaying. You might as well pretend to be My Little Pony and go to one of these brony conventions. That's how much of a publicist you are. You're an idiot. You're a fool and an idiot. And Bill Belichick is an old, fat, gross, bumbling fool.
Though Hudson has recently posted about it on Instagram.
No kidding. That's all she does. That's all anyone could be bothered by is her. It's weird. You know why people pay attention to you? It's because it's so weird. Because you're a big weirdo, and he's gross, and he's a big weirdo bully. And that's why people pay attention to it, honey. And you sitting there acting tough and like you know more than CBS isn't helping matters. It made it go viral. It's a cringy viral moment now, you stupid idiot.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
Oh, boy. Well, I got news for you, Bill. If that's true, there's a whole lot going on that you're unaware of. If you are truly unaware of the worldwide conversation involving you and your surrendering of your testicles to an unqualified 24-year-old, you're being taken advantage of.
So Pro Football Talk and Mike Florio wrote about this, and because some question like CBS's decision to include that. I mean, it's not necessarily part of the interview, and they said one of the reasons editorially why they felt okay in including that exchange where Jordan said,
Not talking about this.
We're not talking about this, and
No.
is because it was not the only time she interrupted. And they said, you know what? If it happens enough times, this is an authentic portrayal of how this interview went. You know, you're going to, like you said, you sit down for an hour, we're going to air 8 minutes of it. If she interjects like once during that time, all right, maybe it's not fair to do that. But if she has multiple interjections and she stops the interview, all right, we're going to throw one of those in there because that's an accurate representation of how this sit-down went.
Right, and we're going to show Be Real footage of him fiddling with his thing. If he really doesn't know this is all going on social media, then he's being, like, basically, if the term's not catfished, he's in some ways not mentally available and being extraordinarily taken advantage of. If he really doesn't know that these photos of him holding her in the air and them at the apple orchard and him, what did he think was going on when she had him take the Halloween picture? That she was sending out Halloween cards?
You're a fisherman and she's a mermaid.
Yeah, that's a way of him making fun of him because it's great. You were a fool. Remember that dumb picture you took, you gross fool? When you had her dressed as a mermaid, you big idiot? You remember that? That was weird, huh? Oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Well, if you don't know what's going on, I got news for you. There's a whole lot of it, and it's not just me talking about it, buddy. This thing could not have been a bigger disaster for him. It could not have been worse, and it's all because of her. Look, he sucks, right? Like, he's just terrible. He's just not a good guy. He's not going to be a good interview. He's not going to elaborate on anything. He's going to act like these questions are dumb, like why you didn't think Robert Kraft, even though it's like what everyone would want to know and it's completely part of it. And they're asking about your relationship because it's all she does. All she does is insert herself into your life. She's obviously, this is not the first time she's tried to control every media situation you're in. And if you're unaware this is all happening, then someone needs to step in and they need to Britney Spears your ass where they hold your assets because you're not able to take care of them. Then you're a doddering old fool that shouldn't have control of anything. If I'm North Carolina, I'm thinking, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what have we done?
What have we done? Why did we get him today? Like, why couldn't it have been 5 years ago when people still thought he was some alpha stud that was smarter than everyone? When it turns out he wasn't. Strange. Shakespearean in a way. He's dumber than everyone else is. Again, in the whole, and then I'll stop. The whole notion of, yeah, but he's getting it with a 23-year-old. Again, he's probably in love with her, right? All I'm saying is there's ways to have sex with 20-year-olds where you don't have to let them take control of your interviews. You can have sex with someone and then go do a radio show. You can have sex with someone and go be in a movie. You can have sex with someone and have them not control your business.
It was a mutual decision.
Right. All right, caller number 10 into the contest line at 617-931-0985 will score a $100 gift card to the 99 restaurant. A great gift for mom, dad, and grads. Buy a $25 gift card in restaurant or online and get a $5 bonus card for yourself. We'll be right back.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Low.
In Orlando last night, 107-98 to take a 3-1 lead in that first-round playoff series. Jason Tatum led the Green with 37 points and helped his team piece together the late run to put the game away.
You know, it was 91 with 4 minutes left of timeout. I was excited for that moment because I knew that we was going to figure out and make plays. And, you know, it's not just me. Everybody made plays. You know, so that was, you know, we showed just our competitive spirit. You know, that was fun.
Jaylen Brown added 21 points to the win. It's the first Celtics victory in Orlando since October of 2022. They'll try to put the Magic away in Game 5 tomorrow night at TD Garden. Elsewhere in the NBA playoffs, Indiana won in Milwaukee, 129-103. The Bucks also lost Damian Lillard to an apparent Achilles injury. The Knicks used a controversial no call on Josh Hart as time ran out. They beat Detroit 94-93, and it was Minnesota over the Lakers 116-113 in all three series. The winner took a 3-1 lead. In baseball news, the Red Sox beat the Guardians in Cleveland 13-3. Ceddanne Rafaela, a homer and 5 RBIs. Sox are in Toronto tomorrow night. And in NFL news, the Washington Commanders have entered into an agreement with the District of Columbia. They're going to go back and play their home games at the site of the old RFK Stadium where they used to play. The total cost of the project, north of $3 billion. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Scoring the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Half toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
That's how the board fell, you know, and that's kind of how we anticipated it going for quite a while. And that's kind of where we targeted. We had some conversations to make sure that we were prepared. Those situations that we talked about a few weeks ago prior to the draft that we went through on Monday. And, you know, this was a very, very easy pick for us.
What is wrong with you?
Hardy's a poser. I just put it up at Fred Toucher
Jesus.
on Instagram. I put it up at Fred Toucher. I forgot to make the station a collaborator, but Hardy's just sitting here like, you know, glued to watching golf on his computer or whatever the hell he's doing.
Yeah.
And I notice there's someone bravely hanging from the window with suction cups washing the window. Hardy doesn't even notice it. And
I just heard banging.
Yeah, but he doesn't even pay attention.
I'm facing the wrong way. You've got it in your peripheral.
Oh, get out of here. And so if I'm looking at my computer, I'm looking away. So I notice it, and I finally look at Hardy, and then he stands up and starts admiring it.
Okay.
I put it up at Fred Toucher on Instagram. It's Hardy just admiring the view. He's cosplaying as a manual worker.
You should see that guy with his squeegee. Oh, my God.
No, the best part was the guy finished the window and swung back into view, and he saw Hardy. He just gave him a little nod.
And Hardy got legit excited.
Yeah.
What's funny is I'm very glad that was happening because in the corner of my eye, I saw 2 dark lines during the last segment, and I'm like, I might be having a stroke. Because, like, I kept seeing 2 dark lines in my peripheral vision, and then I turned around and I'm like, oh, thank God there's rope. I'm like something really bad's going on if that's not really there.
Yeah.
I'm seeing 2 very, very bad things.
You give me a choice of seeing that, Kate Upton, Barry Sanders, you name it. That's what I want to see.
Bigger than
today.
Barry Sanders. Wow. All right.
I've seen Barry Sanders once. It wasn't as impressive as that.
Because if you count the parking garage, I mean, he's quite a ways up because we're on the 4th floor, but it's not necessarily the 4th floor. It's probably like more like the 8th floor, 7th floor.
I mean, that squeegee makes contact with the window once, and then it's whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
No streaks. Not a one.
No, stop it with your streaks. No, of course not. That guy, no streaks.
All right. We have Phil Perry. We'll get to him in 1 second. Rocco, go ahead.
I couldn't wait to call. I saw the clip last night, and Fred, I immediately thought of you. And so the joy I'm feeling today, like as a lifelong Pats fan, season ticket holder, you know, I reveled in all the winning. But, you know, as the years went on, I got more and more pissed at Belichick for just basically disrespecting fans, never giving any answers or even any information over the years. And then it got really bad at the end with the piss poor decision making, pushing Brady out the door, and basically running the organization into the ground. And for him to now sort of be getting his, and what makes me feel the best is that he doesn't even realize it, and at some point he will, and it's going to hit him like a ton of bricks. So all the crap that's coming his way, lay it on, give it to him, and he gets all that he deserves.
It's like a fable. It's like, someone who spent years like bullying. It's like Samson, and then here comes this 23-year-old or 21 or however she was at the time with a slingshot. I know they're different tales. Yeah. But, yeah, all right. But it's like, she's got a slingshot and she takes down the beast. It's really a moral tale. It's really a moral tale. It's a big a-hole bully that was, for no reason, not even comedically being funny at all. And then now here he is, late in his life, a doddering old fool. It's quite fun. I got to be honest, I couldn't enjoy it anymore. And in the way that it's evolved or devolved, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. Because it was bad in the beginning, and I had a sixth sense that it was bad. And then it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And now it's like at a code red. And it's good stuff. I'm enjoying it too. Phil Perry, he covers the Patriots for NBC Sports Boston. Hi, Phil.
Good morning, guys. It's a parable of sorts. It feels like the way you're describing it there, Fred.
Thank you. A parable is a better description of it. It is a parable. It's got to be it's got to be fun for you as someone who, had to stand in front of him and bow and kiss the feet of the master, and to see the way he abused that role. It's got to be fun for you to see him fall apart.
There was not a whole lot of kissing of feet. But
well, he wanted you to kiss his feet, is what I'm saying.
Have certainly been on the other end of some good exchanges with Bill in the past, and I am curious. Like, if he doesn't win in North Carolina, like, does this impact his job at all? Like, do high school kids or parents of high school kids start to look at things like this or what's going on social media, and then if they don't win on top of it at North Carolina, does that?
All right, so you're in the Bible Belt, right? So you're in the Bible Belt. I mean, I know it's a collegiate area that around there, but say you're doing the Southeast, like it's like a Bible Belt area, and you got some weird young girlfriend, and yeah, I mean, obviously it's not good. I mean, that thing went viral because it's weird and creepy. I'm not making it up. That thing went incredibly viral worldwide, and it's entirely, which should have been a nothing interview with just an old has-been, has become a viral sensation because he's being undermined by his 24-year-old girlfriend. I mean, it's something else. That's like his vulnerability. That's his kryptonite, right? Like for so many years, he was the alpha and the bully, and then someone came with the kryptonite. Someone came with the slingshot and knocked him down. I mean, he's having someone run a big public portion of his life with no ability to do it. That's actually doing it in a bizarro world where everything is wrong. I mean, you know how it is, Phil. That interview would have been gone in 10 seconds, Boring interview with Bill Belichick. But she inserts herself into it, and it becomes a viral thing about how creepy everyone is. And how doddering he is. No, I don't think it's good for recruiting. It's certainly not good. I don't know if it's bad, but it's certainly not good. All right, so
he's just somebody who, for a long time, did have people around him that were more savvy in that area, right, and could help him avoid situations like that. And so now, at this stage for him, it's gone in the opposite direction, where he probably could use even a little bit more help just navigating all of this stuff, interviews like this one, and social media, and dealing with college kids and all that. It's actually gone in the other direction.
Yeah, you might want a professional. Coach. Yeah, of course he can coach.
I still think he could coach, so he'll probably still win a bunch of games in North Carolina.
And good for him. But that's not the point. Is obviously he's a brilliant football mind. He's just a complete idiot in his life. He's a moron.
The fall from grace is remarkable.
It's fantastic. If he wasn't such a dick, it wouldn't be this great. It's punching up. It's entirely because he's been such a prick for so long. All right, anyway, so that he's gone. So here you have the news staff. Brugler, if this interests you, I don't know if you saw this, Phil Perry. The man who does The Beast has ranked the drafts 1 through 32. He likes the Patriots draft number 1, numero uno. He likes it. He loves the Patriots draft. They filled a lot of needs outside of the first pick, which I'm sure you've been over a ton. How did you think? I guess you could include it in the analysis of the whole thing, but how did you think the draft went for them?
Yeah, I thought they did really well. I don't look at the whole league the way Dane does, and Dane does a tremendous job. But I could tell you that as somebody who is asked to do the thing where you grade the pick like 30 seconds after it happens, which is sort of it is what it is in terms of a thought exercise. It's not, we obviously have no idea how these guys are going to.
But it's fun, and
their careers,
and it's how you build a team.
Interested, and people are interested in stuff like that. It was an uneasy feeling for me because I've been doing this for years now to be giving out the number of good grades that I gave out, because I feel like they did a really good job, especially through those first 2 days. And then even on day 3 to get guys like Joshua Farmer, the defensive tackle from Florida State, and Braden Swinson, the edge guy from LSU. Those are guys that were considered by many, including Dane, to go higher than they did. So to be able to add value like that on day 3, on top of really high-end talent on the first couple of days, I thought they did a really, really good job. And to me, the biggest thing is, and it's obvious, I knew going into the draft, and it was made very clear to people in the building, and even to Drake May himself, is my understanding, that this was going to be a draft about surrounding Drake May with the talent that he needs to succeed. And so to give him a left tackle, to give him another interior offensive lineman who I think is going to have a chance to play guard, but it was drafted, he's announced as a center, in Jared Wilson, and then 2 really explosive, can score anytime they touch the ball kinds of weapons. That's checking a lot of boxes for your young quarterback going into his second year. So I thought it was a tremendous draft, and really especially those first 2 days.
But you couple that with what they did in free agency. You loaded up on defense in free agency. You surrounded the kid with some weapons of all sorts of shapes and sizes in the draft. And there's a lot of reason for healthy optimism here. Not just these are the Patriots and we want them to succeed. It looks like they got guys that can play on both sides of the ball now. Not only that, they have depth.
Yeah, John, I mean, you look at the draft itself, and I even like a couple of the undrafted guys that they took in terms of being like legitimate potential contributors to an NFL team. But if you just want to stick with the draft, and I assume that the 2 specialists they drafted are going to make it. So, chalk that up however you want. I think there are going to be like 6 or 7 guys could end up making this team and contributing in some way, shape, or form, if not this coming year, in future years from this draft. And that's a really, really high number. You go back and you look at it historically, like some of the best Patriots drafts of all time, you're talking about 3 really good players or 4, really solid contributors that might include 2 Pro Bowlers. Like 2009 was Chung and Edelman and Vollmer. Like that's a really good draft. 2010 was McCourty and Gronkowski, and obviously Hernandez and Brandon Spikes played a lot of football here. Like that's a great draft. So if it gets anywhere close to that, like I don't know if this draft will necessarily have that kind of high-end talent, but if you get 5 or 6 guys that end up being players for you, that's a home run of a weekend for you.
All right, so I'm with you, Phil. What they did in the offseason, defensively allowed them with their first 4 picks to do something, for or adjacent to Drake May with the left tackle and the running back even, another way to help out the offense. I'm curious, though, when you said some of the undrafted guys, because there were a couple of names that popped out to me. Who do you think has a legit chance at making the team and contributing to the team?
So one name that I really like a lot is, and it's, first of all, it's a great name, Efton Chisholm III, the receiver out of Eastern Washington. He's undersized. He's sort of a Danny Amendola type of build. He's 5'10". He's less than 200 pounds. He's not extremely fast, but he is extremely quick. He ran a 6'7", 7'3" cone, so his change of direction is next level, and he set all kinds of FCS records at Eastern Washington. 120 catches, only 3 drops last year. I think he had a 2.4 drop rate, which is really next level for a guy who's getting as many targets as he was getting, and especially over the middle of the field where, you're facing some big hits at times and, you might drop a few more than you should. But to me, the reason I like that match with the Patriots is they left this draft, to me, without a true slot receiver outside of Pop Douglas. And Pop Douglas is an interesting one because I'm still curious to see how he's going to fit in this Josh McDaniels offense. Josh, obviously he's used Amendola in the past, and he was not a massive guy, but a lot of times those slot receivers, he wants them to be able to block a little bit. And that's not really going to be Pop Douglas's game. He's so small. So Chisholm's a little thicker than Douglas is. And so, and I look at Kyle Williams, the guy they drafted in the 3rd round, as more of an outside receiver, even though he might be built a little bit like a slot receiver. He's 5'10", but he's really the way he runs routes and the way he was used in college, he's really more of an X, quote unquote, type of guy. So they left the draft without a real slot, and I'm looking at Efton Chisholm as potentially being that guy who could play on the inside for them if he ends up making the team as an undrafted guy. The other one that I have to mention is Lan Larison, who's a running back from UC Davis. And again, they just invested at that position, pass-catching back in Travion Henderson, who was all kinds of explosive, and I loved that pick for the Patriots. But this guy was a monster at UC Davis. So again, lower-level competition, unbelievable hands. And the background is fantastic. He was a state champion steer wrestler.
What?
So he's just one of these guys
Country
who's
strong.
just a country strong
state
champion.
What does one do in order to be a steer wrestler?
You got to wrestle
What
steer.
state is this?
Well, I mean,
It's New York City. It's from the Brooklyn region.
Off the horse. You're off the horse, Hardy, and you're there's some sort of lassoing involved, I think.
Are you talking about a bulldogger?
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, quite frankly. I'm gonna have to do a
The
little bit
AI
more research
overview
into
calls him
Lan's
a
background.
bulldogger. Chases a steer, it leaps off the horse, wrestles the steer to the ground by grabbing its horns and using leverage.
I mean, how can you not love that? Like, football guy right there. Like, you just mentioned that to Mike Vrabel, and he just melts.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on the team, son.
Yeah, he used to drive around in his motorcycle coast to coast, and if he saw a guy baling hay, he would sit there and he'd go, he'd work him out.
Yeah.
That was the old Gruden thing. He's country strong, that kid. Look at him. All right, Phil Perry. Everyone read his draft analysis at NBC Sports Boston and get very hyped up for the schedule release, which is coming up. All right, Phil, thank you.
All right, thank you, boys.
All right,
See you,
we'll
Phil.
be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Did you know Mother's Day was coming up?
I did.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, not worthy of a sounder, but there is a little bit of breaking news, Jonathan.
Yes, the Pittsburgh Penguins this morning have fired head coach Mike Sullivan with 2 years left on his contract. Why do we care about that? Well, Mike Sullivan, from here, from Marshfield, Massachusetts, coached the Bruins for 2 years at the beginning of his coaching career.
They wouldn't consider.
Haven't you? Have
They
you heard?
wouldn't consider that.
Bruins might need a new head coach.
Well,
what you think the Bruins are all hot and bothered to bring in a local player or a local coach? You think that matters to them?
Listen, it will get the fan base all riled up. That's for sure. They'll sell those higher price tickets for sure.
Food for thought.
And by the way, speaking of former Bruins coaches, you'll notice the St. Louis Blues, who in the regular season lost, it appears to be 12 more games than their competition, the Winnipeg Jets, are tied in that series 2-2.
Yeah, Jets are the number one seed in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so St. Louis is, and by the way, the Jets have had to pull their goaltender twice in that series.
Connor Hellebuck, who is supposedly the best goaltender on the planet, and by the way, has played like it for the last 2 years, has been awful in this series.
Right. So there's a good chance that there could be, or not, I mean, there's an even chance that there could be a major upset in that series, and Jim Montgomery moves on to the second round, while the Golden Knights, are 2-2 against the Wild. So it is not out of the realm of possibility, certainly, that those two teams could advance, and you could have the most current former Bruins coaches advancing in the playoffs, including one who took over a team this season that was, if not worse, the same as yours, and has got them to a 2-2 series, which would have been fun. It would have been nice to have a playoff series.
I like playoffs. I like hockey playoffs. It'd be fun to watch that.
If you're playing if you're the last seed and you're playing, I remember when the Bruins were just starting the run, 2007, 2008, probably 2008, and they played Montreal in the first round, and they won that final home game, and the place was electric. You could tell something was going to happen, and they ended up losing that series. But I believe that was an 8-1 situation. And that was fun. I would have taken that. But who knows? By the way, I have one more interesting thing, I think, to me about the draft. And I do think it's interesting, especially if you have kids that play high school athletics. Quinn Ewers was picked in the 7th round by the Miami Dolphins. According to The Athletic, Ewers was the number 1 ranked QB in the 2021 recruiting class. He was the highest ranked recruit ever. Caleb Williams was 2, Drake May was 4, J.J. McCarthy was 6, Jackson Dart was 13, Garrett Nussmeier, who is going to be a first-round pick, it looks like, but those things change, next year was number 19, Shedeur was 37, Riley Leonard was 58. It's just funny that, like, the can't-miss kid should have stayed another year in college. I don't know why he left, because Carson Beck is getting paid $7 million, I believe.
I'm betting Texas for it. You talking about Ewers? You don't know why Ewers left?
No, I know why he left Texas, because Arch Manning's going to play, but I don't know why he left college football.
Yeah.
I mean, he had another year of eligibility.
Didn't want to get hurt anymore. The guy's been playing hurt.
He would have made more this year playing college football, next year playing college football than he's making the entire contract as a 7th-round pick if he makes the team.
Yep.
So he should absolutely have stayed in school. I don't know why he didn't. Maybe he just loves Austin, and he couldn't think of playing for another team. But you think about that kid's high school and like that he was like the man.
Yep.
And if you look at, and if you want to do yourself, if you're bored and you want to get on YouTube, you're done watching the show, watch some of the high school tape of these kids that got drafted in the first round. It's pretty funny. Remember the guy the Jets took? Mm-hmm. It looks like The Blind Side. He's so much bigger than the kids, and he like takes them and just throws them out of bounds because he's 6 inches and 150 pounds heavier than every kid he's playing against. It's pretty fun to watch. The mismatches. It's like who was the running back? Oh, the great running back. He's still in the league, real big. And they had there's video of him. Just they'd hand him the ball and he just knock everyone over and it scored every time he got the ball.
Talking about Derrick Henry?
Yeah, Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
Derrick Henry in high school.
It's weird because you had who's the offensive lineman the Jets took. They don't have Mekhi Becton. You see Becton like in high school pushing a pickup truck up a hill.
Yeah.
He's so enormously large.
Unfortunately, he's so enormously large he can't keep his body together.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Venmo highlights right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he just takes a kid 20 yards downfield. The play's going the other way.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Finish the block.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so and so you think about it, like there's no way that kid played against like terrible high school talent.
Yeah.
And so he's probably playing against kids who some of whom play D1 football. And you're just manhandling people like that. It just shows you how good you have to be to play in the pros.
He pancaked 2 guys on 1 block. That's unbelievable.
Because it's funny because you'll go like, oh, well, the Patriots drafted Mr. Irrelevant and like he sucks. Like, and we sit here as sports talk people and go, oh, he sucks. But like it just shows you how good you have to be to get drafted. Like someone on that field played at a D1 school other than Membo. Membo, that's what a first-round pick looks like in high school.
Yeah.
And Quinn Ewers, who was the biggest star in, the highest graded prospect in high school football history, according to this Athletic article, he ends up being a 7th-round quarterback. Interesting. Hard to judge an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That I'll tell you.
Email here from Mitch. Why isn't John wearing a Luxembourg baseball hat? How else would people know he went there unless he didn't ...
Well, sometimes John will travel to places and buy a hat with nothing to do with the area. We do know that he bought one of his dumb hats at the Jersey Shore, and it has nothing to do with New Jersey.
San Jose or San Diego. Or
Fresno State.
Yeah, Fresno State. He loves Fresno State.
Fresno State.
He's got to wear the hat.
Yeah.
And you know what? To that point, would you have been opposed to a little knick-knack, either from Paris or Luxembourg? Just come back
game.
with a little something.
I wouldn't have
a
been
little souvenir.
I wouldn't have been opposed if he
I wouldn't
brought
have been
back a
opposed.
baguette.
Well, did he bring us
Baguette.
back anything from Atlantis?
No, but that's Atlanta.
What the hell am I going to
cares?
bring you back from Atlanta? A Coke?
I don't know.
Johnny Wallach.
I've never been. I don't know what's
wristband?
there.
Yeah, wristbands
I don't
that
know
you
what's
need to get
there.
into everything.
What's there? Is there anything there?
I'll Shake Shack.
Oh, okay.
It's a very corporate environment,
A little
Jonathan.
spoon from the Ben and Jerry's shack.
Yeah, listen. It's a great place to take kids. It's not an island experience. That I'll tell you. It's a incredibly manufactured environment.
It seems like it wouldn't been out of the question for you to bring us back a souvenir from the continent. You were
Wallach
on
is
the
a bird.
continent.
Did you bottle any of your kids complaining?
No, I
So
did not.
you could unleash it in
Considering
here.
my travel, all the knickknacks I would have gotten, you would have gotten lost. Trust me. So.
Good. So it's even worse than I anticipated.
Yeah, the
There are
travel
outside-
both ways were not good.
Good. So there's outside forces that made it even worse.
Oh no, you'll appreciate this.
Now I wanted you to have a good time. That has
I
been
did.
on the record. I
did. You did, and I did, and there were periods of time kids saw what they needed to see. We went and saw the thing, but there were a lot of other ancillary things that did not go well.
I'll tell you, you took a great picture on Instagram. It's actually a great picture on John's Instagram. What's your Instagram again?
John Wallach 24.
So he's at the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
And you want to know what idiots we all are? All of us are idiots. Is that we've just decided the Mona Lisa is the greatest thing of all time. No one has any interest in anything else. Like these paintings that are these, been so lovingly cared for. They're worth, hundreds of millions of dollars. The intricate, but Mona Lisa. Mm-hmm. And John couldn't even get within 100 yards of the Mona Lisa. First of all, it's small. They got to have it behind 17 tons of crap. And the only reason anyone wants to see it is so they can take a picture of it and go, I saw it. When the Mona Lisa is available, why does your picture, not you, because there was a point to it.
Right.
It was showing how dumb it all was.
Yes.
But everyone's got their cell phone up. Why would you take a picture of a picture at a museum? Especially the Mona Lisa. You can find it,
By the way,
digital photo of the Mona Lisa.
When you get to the front of that scrum that I took the picture of, which takes about 25 minutes, when you get to that, it's encased in glass. It's behind velvet ropes. You still can't get within 10 feet of it.
Right, because people can't be
there
trusted.
Are like 4 security guards, which you couldn't see over the throng of people.
But meanwhile, you could go up to any other piece of art in that museum and touch it and everything else. I mean, you're not supposed to, but you know what I'm saying, what I'm getting at.
Yes.
is that we're all so dumb and uncultured, all of us, me included.
But
Mona Lisa.
It's a great photo. I love the composition of it. You know, it's very artistic. In direct contrast, and we did quite a bit of time on this on Friday's show.
Did you?
Your terrible pedestrian Eiffel Tower pics. Let's take one of the Eiffel Tower from standing at the base and looking up at it. Let's take one from halfway up the Eiffel Tower.
I interpreted
Let's take
those
one
differently.
from when we get all the way up to the top.
Well, this is what we do with art.
All the way at the top.
This is what we do with art.
Yeah.
I think John was showing kind of the pointlessness of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh.
That was what I interpreted from
I
it.
had to wait an hour and a half.
Yeah,
for
there's
that.
no reason to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower. There's absolutely no reason.
We
You know
went now. Again, if you want to get into
We'll
this,
get
now
into
we
it
can.
tomorrow.
But the real quick snapshot is: you go to the Eiffel Tower, you have your family with you. You need to go see certain things. The Mona Lisa and
Right.
the Louvre was one thing. The Eiffel Tower is another thing. The Notre Dame Cathedral, which I put a picture up. We went there. We had to stand through a thunderstorm outside.
Yeah,
it took about 35 minutes to get in there.
The Eiffel Tower-
Once you're inside Notre Dame, I mean, there's lots to look at. But at the same point-
no, that makes sense to go into.
Yeah.
Obviously, that if you're going to be there, I don't even know if I went in that. I took some Hemingway tour. I didn't even go to the Louvre. I went to the Modern Art Museum.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I don't want to deal with it.
There were 4 things we wanted to hit, including the L'Arc de Triomphe. But yes, those are the things we went to.
But the going up in the Eiffel Tower is pointless. It's a pointless endeavor. I mean, there's no reason.
I found the photos to be pointless.
Okay. I thought that
That's
he
just
was
a-
showing the pointlessness of the activity.
Why are they pointless?
I think you're going to, because you could Google image and get the same thing anywhere. Your Mona Lisa photo, now that was art. I mean, everything about it, we celebrated here on
you
these
did?
very airwaves.
I thought all
The
three
Eiffel
were
Tower
art.
stuff, we crapped all over.
See, I would have disagreed. I would have been the voice of him saying he's pointing out the pointlessness of it. It's like the documentarian who was mad at the BBC, so he made a 14-hour movie called Paint Drying, where it was literally just wet paint on a wall, and he wanted the BBC to have to sit through it to see if any of it was offensive.
You look at me. Do you think that's what he was doing?
Yes, I swear to God, I think he was pointing out. I don't think he was saying, "Look at how cool the Eiffel Tower is."
That's exactly what he was doing.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Not at all. That's not at all. Fred is right about this, and you, sir, Mr. Grumpy Ass, are wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not-
I got John. I got the vibe John wasn't having a good time, and I was okay with that. I liked the vibe. Because I knew he wouldn't. If he would have come back and said that he did, I would have been called BS on that. Because 20 years from now, you'll remember it fondly.
That's
but
that's the thing. The kids needed to see all of these things.
Maybe not
Yes.
at their age, but certainly at some point you want your kids to be cultured. Certainly. All right, look, we'll be back here. The headlines.
Sports Hub headline.
Kaboom. Yeah. Hit somebody. We've got a passion for Boston sports. Get angry. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
I was telling the guys here more than anything in Miami 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, whatever. But Cam Ward wasn't on the team. But guys that are Jets now were on the field. But BC in a game like that is such like a JV operation. Both teams sucked at the time. You're distracted by the Miami fans that are true scum. Like the people that they're like Crash, like they're like a bunch of crashes.
They're all wearing this horrible lime neon green nonsense.
Well, they all got terrible tattoos and everything else.
Remember, we saw the same guy with the same tattoo.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah, the state of Florida.
I know.
It looked like
we're
someone
at the same game,
finished
in
on his
different
arm.
places, and we saw the same guy.
And the reason I say that is Brandon Novak has a tattoo of Bama Jarrah's.
Did it include Key West? Was there some little dots?
Yeah, yes. It looked like someone finished on him. And the only reason I say that is I'm not inventive. Brandon Novak literally has a tattoo of Bama Jarrah's finishing on him on his arm.
Gosh. Okay.
Well, he does.
Okay.
He was paid for it.
Good.
He's in recovery. He's been sober for 10 years. Brandon
That's
Novak.
not a decision you make sober, so that makes sense.
No.
Yeah.
The Brandon Novak appearance on Howard Stern with Bama Jarrah, top 5 easily.
Yeah.
Appearances
It's an all-timer.
on Howard Stern. And in Novak, it's not like sad. Like it's funny. Like it's pretty funny. Like, and now that you know Novak's sober, it's like a lot better, but it's pretty good. He's willing to do anything. He's like, yeah, and he's like funny in it, so it's good. All right, go ahead.
So the president of the Dodgers, Stan Kasten, said adding one thing to the clubhouse was a huge feature in trying to get Roki Sasaki to sign with the team. Do you know what the one thing they added to the clubhouse to
the Roku? They added the stick that you put in the TV so you can watch garbage.
No, it wasn't Roku. It wasn't a Zen garden. It was Japanese-style toilets.
Oh, those are good. When I was in Napa Valley years ago, they had one of those situations where the toilet did a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so Sasaki suggested, because they were having a conversation, they're trying to woo him to the Dodgers. He said, we're doing a $100 million renovation of the clubhouse. And he said, are you putting in toilets, special toilets? And he said, well, maybe we
they'll have
could.
cameras in them.
The Japanese toilets
kids?
oftentimes include a bidet, a remote control, and heated seats, along with an automatic lid.
They used to call me the human bidet.
Is that right?
Mm.
So Sasaki,
Yeah, they got an automatic lid. When you walk up, there's an episode of Bob's Burgers where the kid falls in love with one, and it takes it into the woods because they're trying to get it back. But yeah, you wake up and you walk up, right, and they say hello, and they lift the lid. Yeah.
Have you used a bidet before?
I have, and I would love a bidet in my house, but there's no room in my master bath really to put one. And if I get one, I want a separate bidet. I don't want one that just like is a fake one that just is in the toilet. I told you that I was on a show with the guy Jimmy Barron, and he goes, he always wanted a bidet, and he goes, I got a bidet. This is in the early 2000s. And he ordered it online, sight unseen. And when it came, there was a very, very muscular African-American on the box.
What?
It was not what he assumed it would be.
Oh, boy.
It wasn't like a plumbing company.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh.
It was for water sports of some fashion.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty funny. He brought it in. He's like, this is what I got in the mail. Congratulations. This was the early days of the internet. Before Bitcoin went nuts.
I can only imagine. Something else in the world of pickleball. Andre Agassi has announced he is going to make his professional pickleball debut alongside Anna Lee Waters, who is known across pickleball as the greatest women's player of all time. How old do you think she is?
I know the answer to this. So,
that's hyperbole. I mean, that's just recency bias. But
how old do you think the greatest female pickleball player ever is?
Well, she's going to be either really young or really old.
Correct.
So I'm guessing she's older. Because there's tennis prodigies that are like 15 that play pro.
Right. 18 years old.
Oh, well.
Greatest women's pickleball.
Yeah, but Capriati was playing in Wimbledon when she was, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no one called her the greatest of all time. Not at that young age.
Who do you think is the best women's player of all time?
It's Serena Williams.
Okay, so when she was 18, could you have made that she's the best of all time?
I think Venus was still.
Yeah, Venus was better.
Above her
better
at that
than her
point.
back then.
Yeah, who knows? All I know. Do you find yourself watching pickleball now?
I've tried. It's not a great sport to watch.
But even though you know the intricacies of it.
Yeah, I've tried.
You're very competitive. What happened on the last hole? What was the thing you were playing?
The extravaganza on the last hole of golf yesterday.
There was an extravaganza.
Well, we had lost, the final match, and the best we could do on the press was a push. I said I want to somehow make something up.
All right.
Oh, that reminds me. This is something for tomorrow. Something from your club was featured on the Sports Hub Golf Club yesterday.
Oh, who was a big fan of the sports club was Blind Scott. Blind Scott, when I was on vacation, went on and on and on and on and on about how good the Sports Hub Golf Club was.
Wow. You'll find out why tomorrow.
I think someone emailed me something that I didn't understand about, like Woodland was in it. Okay. Is it about the train?
No.
It goes through the par 3.
You're good. You're going to both love it and hate it, what the entire show is about.
Oh, fantastic. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. That'll do it for us. Bye.